A row of golden characters like reversed images manifested. Star position, rat star star name, by Sheng. 2, nickname, Daylight Rat. 3, true name, by Yutong rank, 106 star weapon, Dreamless, 0 star, Star Beast, realm, heartbeat 5th stage, 5, innate skill, wine brewing 6, 5 elements, wood yellow rank special move, worry free without a care, 7, dark rank special move, none current status, no contractor, weak, cannot be conquered, detailed materials. Star Dual Covenant cannot be signed within Evil Smiting Hall, such a weak. Star General. Although he was already prepared, when he finished looking at the birth treasure outlines material, Su Xing still was greatly surprised. The little girl before his eyes was surprisingly the 106th Rat Star Daylight Rat by Sheng. Seeing that realm, that technique, that star weapon, he thought that she was not a martial 4-star general. Let alone Su Xing. Perhaps even a stardust cultivator could insta-kill her. So weak, no wonder Bai Yutong is that timid and scared. You're hurt. Su Xing somewhat admired the little lowly. The blood flowed without end, but she nevertheless showed great optimism, without any fear, completely carefree and without worries while even singing. However, now that he recalled that singing voice, Su Xing felt even more hurt. Such a cute lowly ought to be protected. Gong Sun Huang beckoned with her hand. A stream of wind trapped Bai Yutong. The little girl then walked over and said something. Only then did Bai Yutong's fear slowly dissipate, yet the caution in her eyes still did not disappear. Su Xing walked over at this time. Turning apart those blood-soaked clothes, inside were several very deep cuts and odd bug bites, like she had been bitten by a goo. Ordinary medicines basically were incapable of curing this. Bai Yutong's waiting eyes curiously followed Su Xing's inspection. A moment later, "Little Huang, we saw a creek with all sorts of grasses before. Do you still remember the place?" Su Xing hugged the little lowly. The little lowly hesitated for a moment. Her little hand grasped Su Xing's clothes, nervous yet cute. Gong Sun Huang sat on Su Xing's shoulder, nodding. Wandering the clear skies, the little lowly was startled. As one of the renowned star generals, not having flown before was unbelievable. A while later, a lake with hundreds of tender shoots appeared before them. Beside the creek was a ring of countless herbs. The lake water was full of a medicinal fragrance. Evil Smiting Hall had many rarities, and using herbs like this that had soaked in the creek water for several thousand years naturally possessed curing functions more powerful than some medicines. Relying on the medical arts Su Xing inherited from Insuan, using these various grasses and medicinal waters in addition to an appropriate method, the goo poison in the wound could still be dispelled. However, first of all, he needed to face an extremely great battle. "Little Candy, can you clean your wound by yourself?" Su Xing asked her. Rat Star Daylight Rat Bai Yutong moved her arms. Her expression turned painful, so she clearly was unable to. "Do you mind if I help wash you?" For the sake of his own reputation, Su Xing had a requirement that he obtain permission from the party involved. He certainly was not that sort of weird uncle that had a lollipop in hand. Bai Yutong thought for a moment. Her very mo eyes wandered between Su Xing and Gong Sun Huang. In the end, she nodded. Su Xing had a righteousness that inspired reverence. He straightened his chest, and then he took off the girl's clothes. Bai Yutong did not oppose, very obediently allowing Su Xing to also take off her trousers. That docile appearance was like a father helping his 6 or 7-year-old daughter bathe. Su Xing's heart originally had an odd feeling, but that also dissipated along with hers. That went without saying, of course. The other person was only 6 or 7 years old, the age of a daughter. There was nothing wrong with someone acting as the big brother to help his little sister take a bath. Su Xing felt that he truly was a weird uncle. Maybe he was thinking too much. Her adorable and sculpted body very quickly was undressed into a great white expanse. Su Xing made Bai Yutong soak in the water as if it were a spa. The little lowly suddenly wrinkled her nose, her expression very painful. Her hand subconsciously grasped tight Su Xing. "If it hurts, groan." Su Xing saw that she was resisting the pain. Bai Yutong timidly squeaked. Cough, cough. Su Xing nearly choked. This rat star was too innocent. Now, I'll help you heal and dispel the goo poison. Bear with me. Su Xing warned. Oh. Su Xing first took out some medicine that he applied to his fingertips. Mobilizing his star energy, those sinister wounds twisted along Bai Yutong's soft skin. It appeared very frightening, and Su Xing wondered who could attack such a cute little girl so maliciously. Recalling Jiang Shueishue's completely tragic fate, Su Xing's heart was very angry. The goo poison had already spread across Bai Yutong's body, from her little budding chest all the way down to her thighs. Su Xing actually did not have any feelings of desire. This was merely a father taking care of her wounds. Bit by bit he dispelled the goo poison. Even if he touched the sensitive places of Bai Yutong's body along the way, he was more worried about whether he would cause her pain. Bai Yutong's willpower was very resilient, not uttering a word during the process to drive out the goo poison, only letting out a rat-like squeak from time to time when things actually were very painful. A very long while after, the dark green poison was finally dispelled by Su Xing. Su Xing's fingertips stroked Bai Yutong's wounds, and then he bandaged them. A star general's body was indestructible. Those seemingly certain scars would naturally completely heal after a time. Done. Su Xing heaved a great sigh. At this time, only then did any notice that little lowly Bai Yutong had fainted onto his chest from the pain. Those little hands clutched at Su Xing as if he was life-saving duckweed, already full of trust for him. Su Xing looked at Bai Yutong and truly felt resentment. If Maiden Mountain wanted star duels, then star duels it was, but to take this 7- or 8-year-old girl to be a star general was too inhuman. Su Xing saw that she had fainted from the pain. Her body was full of cold sweat. Quickly thinking he might as well help bathe her. With great aunt censorship in his mind, Su Xing did this all absolutely without evil thoughts, without the slightest bit of distraction. Your Highness. Suddenly, a very soft voice entered his ear. Su Xing gasped. He had nearly given his own wife the cold shoulder. Little Huang, apologies. Su Xing turned his head back, and his eyes nearly popped out of their sockets. Gongsun Huang walked on the water's surface. Her red cloak had already been taken off, and her body was threadbare, about the same size of Bai Yutong's body. However, Su Xing still could not stop his heart from skipping a beat. Little Huang, what are you doing? Gongsun Huang's eyes were still exceedingly refined. Blinking, she watched the quietly sleeping rat star, that expression seemingly saying, I want to bathe. Speaking, her figure floated, reaching Su Xing's chest. Her soft and satiny skin was extremely silky. Su Xing made himself calm down. This place is infused with hundreds of medicines. Bathing will be healthy. These words seemed somewhat strange. Gongsun Huang shook her head. She opened her arms, glimpsing her completely unprotected intimate places. Her expression's meaning was even clearer. She wanted to have Su Xing help her. 9. Su Xing could not possibly favor and discriminate one over the other, hurting little Huang's heart, but he did not know why little Huang's naked body was apparently even more enticing than Bai Yutong. Obviously, the pair were the same in age, their figures identically developed. Could it be that Gongsun Huang had those traits? Su Xing shook his head, dispelling the wicked thoughts in his heart. He would treat it as a father helping his daughter take a bath. Su Xing felt there was no big deal. Great aunt censorship, do you feel this way too? His fingertips stroked across Gongsun Huang's skin, the satiny feeling somewhat comfortable. The little lowly was very pleasured, sitting against Su Xing's chest. Su Xing wore clothes, and although the scene would anger men and gods alike, reaching the stage of censorship's glowering eyes, any way it was put, this could not count as dubious any way it was put. Does your Highness wish to contract her? Gongsun Huang enjoyed the caresses of Su Xing's fingertips, her voice somewhat floating with satisfaction. Little Huang, what do you feel? Su Xing asked for her opinion. Gongsun Huang nodded. She would not oppose. She was actually quite fond of this cute little sister that was the same age as her. However, I can't sign a contract in Evil Smiting Hall. This is relatively troublesome. Slowly, Su Xing forgot about his previous awkwardness. Discussing matters of Bai Yutang was somewhat distressing. The little lowly's nature had a sort of feeling that made one want to protect her. If he could contract her, Su Xing felt this was not a bad thing, but the problem was that though the distance in Evil Smiting Hall appeared very close, it was possible that it was considerably very far. However, at the present time, Su Xing was in a rush to refine the earth element flying sword. This matter could not be delayed. Go ask her, Gong Sun Huang said. But would she contract? Su Xing laughed. Your Highness is very special. Gong Sun Huang said. Am I? The person in question actually did not feel so. Woo! Suddenly, Gong Sun Huang moaned. Her slim legs subconsciously clamped Su Xing's fingers between them. Su Xing was taken aback. He noticed that he was not paying attention as he was chatting just now. However, at this time, acting guilty would make the two embarrassed. Su Xing pretended that nothing had happened as his fingertips swept past that flower, seizing the chance to pull his hand out from Gong Sun Huang's clamping legs. You're just about cleaned up. Can little Huang wipe herself clean? Gong Sun Huang nodded, her face slightly red. Hua! There was a voice to the side. Little Candy, you woke up? Su Xing knew that she had already awoken. His discussion with Gong Sun Huang just now ought to have been heard by her. Bai Yutang nodded and curiously looked at Su Xing and Gong Sun Huang's intimate position. Where are you now? Do you wish to sign a contract with me? Su Xing asked her. Contract? Bai Yutang blinked her eyes, somewhat bewildered. Star Duel Covenant. Su Xing reminded her. At this time, the corner of his shirt was tugged. Gong Sun Huang's naked body wanted Su Xing to help dress her clothes. Su Xing honestly felt that he had become a father, older brother, or the like, and Gong Sun Huang had that sort of feeling of the little sister that would not grow up. Without thinking, he picked up those little pieces of underwear for Gong Sun Huang to wear. Dragon in the Clouds very seldom took the initiative like this, and Su Xing naturally would not wrong her. I can't star duel, Bai Yutang said. It's okay, big sister and big brother will protect you. Su Xing was fully self-confident. Oh. Bai Yutang was non-committal. Well, where are you right now? Su Xing asked her. I'm hosted inside elder sister's restaurant. Bai Yutang saw that the gu wounds had been expelled, so she was slightly faithful in Su Xing. However, to be able to make Bai Yutang believe in him this much, Gong Sun Huang also was a major reason. Her relaxed nature made Su Xing tenderly help put on her clothes. That sort of feeling of trust inadvertently fused into Bai Yutang's heart. Sensing this point, Su Xing truly secretly admired Gong Sun Huang was just a bit like a sage that posed as an ordinary person. What's the restaurant called? What province? Su Xing asked her. Province, Bai Yutang did not understand. The restaurant is called Drunken Something. Your Highness, look out. Just at this moment, a shadow flew down from the sky. Gong Sun Huang waved her hand, and a clump of green light flew out of her palm to slam right into the shadow. The shadow was several green viper flying blades. Su Xing's expression sunk, and he shielded Bai Yutang. The little lowly was somewhat afraid, yet she did not flee. In the forest came a rustling. A gigantic green snake slithered out, spitting out its terrifying snake tongue. Its green light fully flourished, emitting a poisonous presence. Upon this green snake's head was a little girl of a very young age. She wore green long clothes and wore a snake tiara. It was yet another lowly. Truly, this was a conference of lowless. However, compared to Gong Sun Huang's exceedingly refined manner and Bai Yutang's timid confusion, the expression of the lowly in front of him was the epitome of malice. I already knew it was you. To be able to use such poisonous means against such a cute little girl, there is only a similarly uncute little girl. Su Xing twitched his lips. The one riding the green snake was not just anyone. She was the ranked 34th Savage Star double-headed serpent Xie Diao. Bamboo leaf green flying blades fluttered around Xie Diao's whole body. Her smile blossomed, and just who are you? Su Xing's expression withered. Xie Diao had forgotten about him. But that is not important. You will become gu materials for Xie Diao. Xie Diao extended a hand. Little Green, advance. Little Huang, you protect Little Candy. Careful of her star master, Su Xing surreptitiously used sound transmission. Gong Sun Huang nodded. Since he was fighting against time and had rushed straight back into Evil's smiting hall from the Buddha kingdom. Although his energy had more or less recovered, that was prepared to be used in star beast capture. Su Xing could not allow Gong Sun Huang to once again squander her magic energy, otherwise, he would have wasted time again. A star master unexpectedly wishes to face Xie Diao's green-scaled unicorn python. 10 little green, do not hesitate to eat this annoying man. Xie Diao ordered. The green-scaled unicorn python's length was at least 300 feet. Its bucket-like body would need 2 fully grown men to span around it. The moss-green snakeskin was not only glossy like a mirror, it could also move across any terrain as if it were flying. Its black stripes were proof of the green-scaled unicorn python's poisonous nature, spiraling from its tail to its head where it concentrated into a strange flower pattern. In the middle of the flower pattern was a sharp horn. This horn appeared to be a strange black and red color, thus it was called a goo poison horn. The green-scaled unicorn python opened its mouth. Xie Diao snorted and then broke away from the green-scaled unicorn python's head, flying into the air. Her eyes were like a viper's, staring for gaps in Su Xing's group. So long as there was any slack, this little lowly would not hesitate at all to send her goo poison flying blade into her opponent's body. Su Xing called forth his flying swords. However, before the flying swords could strike, they were obstructed by Xie Diao's several hundred flying blades. Each flying blade had 4 stars. Surprisingly, this was an impressive 4-star destined weapon. This made Su Xing not dare to be careless. Giving up on abilities that senselessly squandered star energy, Su Xing decided to simply use brute force to bring about victory. Thinking of this, instantly, Su Xing already quietly approached, raising the heaven tearing in his hand, hacking at the green-scaled unicorn python's head. It seemed that Su Xing was very familiar with the green-scaled unicorn python. His attack was straightforward, directly fatal. He wanted to destroy the green-scaled unicorn python's horn. So long as the symbol of the green-scaled unicorn python suffered heavy damage, the green-scaled unicorn python's power would greatly diminish. If he slashed other spots, of course he was capable of giving the green-scaled unicorn python certain injury, but the effectiveness nevertheless was not as distinct as attacking this horn. Its weak point was too obvious. Su Xing shouted, flying onto its head. The green-scaled unicorn python suddenly turned its head 180 degrees, spotting the twinkling, solemn might of Buddhist light that was as gorgeous and glaring as the sword light of heaven tearing appearing in front of its eyes. The green-scaled unicorn python indignantly bellowed. The horn on its forehead released black light. A black light deep as the night sky instantly swallowed Su Xing. Su Xing's divine intent moved, instantly advancing through and tearing apart the black light. Circulating his star energy, his cold silhouette suddenly appeared. Sneering, the weapon in his hand brought an air-shattering shriek and violent astral wind, ruthlessly slashing into the green-scaled unicorn python's back. Directly entering deep, the light of the crimson slash practically cut its body in 2. Boom! The green-scaled unicorn python seemed to have been struck by lightning. Its body violently shuddered, throwing back its head to shriek. Its tail heavily swung at Su Xing. How could Xie Diao's star beast have underestimated him? Just the wind from raising its tail was enough to blow Su Xing away. Seizing this fleeting moment, the green-scaled unicorn python suddenly rushed forth, as if it wanted to bind Su Xing like a rope. However, when it opened its mouth again, a berserk purple thunder zapped and lacerated its flesh. Xie Diao's complexion was white, her expression fearful. The green-scaled unicorn python screamed. It opened its maw and showed its sinister, ugly mouth. It wanted to bite to pieces this man that made its blood flow, but Su Xing was far more powerful than it thought. Now that Su Xing's combat abilities had gradually matured, a star general with a star weapon was not easy, but confronting this sort of star beast still was not so easily bested. Su Xing knew that he needed to resolve this as soon as possible. Who knew if that lady snake scorpion was spying from somewhere? He fiercely pounced forth, the heaven-tearing divine sword appearing in his hand. He was ready to strike while the iron was hot, once again giving this python several more cuts. The green-scaled unicorn python had erred in estimating Su Xing's battle strength. Its horn let out a beam of black light. Su Xing's sword cut it apart, and then the sword tip made the green-scaled unicorn python's flesh split apart. When the next slash swept forth, the green-scaled unicorn python knew it was in danger. Seeing that the situation was unfavorable, it immediately soared, evading, drawing a certain distance away from Su Xing. That star beast's possessed intelligence looked to be true. Su Xing had mistakenly lost the chance to kill this green-scaled unicorn python. His heart could not help but slightly feel this was somewhat of a pity, but the python was severely wounded, its strength significantly deteriorated. To defeat it, even kill it, actually was not longer an impossible task. Su Xing did not hesitate. His foot stepped on the ground, and then he also soared, rushing again at the green-scaled unicorn python. The green-scale unicorn python stared fixedly at Su Xing. The green light from its snake eyes was like an enormous light in the night that shot in all directions. Covering the red and black-scaled gigantic beast, it swayed now and then, carrying a whistling gale. Its back had a giant wound, as if it had been ripped violently open by some powerful force. Blood flowed continuously from that injury, dripping onto the ground, forming a stream that concentrated into a pool of blood. The green-scaled unicorn python opened its mouth, leaking highly toxic saliva that flowed out of its mouth. Its rage was extremely deep, resentment completely crammed into its mind. It was this Star Master character in front of it that emitted a strong and strange scent from head to toe, giving it a heavy blow, making it suffer an enormous injury. This was practically unbelievable. Star beasts all possessed intelligence. Sensing the anger in its mistress' heart, the green-scaled unicorn python also was mad. Its strength was greatly depleted. As the savage star's star beast, to be injured was an absolute disgrace. Rapidly flicking out its tongue, the green-scaled unicorn python itched to slowly chew apart this human that was more evil than itself, to swallow him into its stomach. Seeing that this target was rushing at it, the green-scaled unicorn python suddenly twisted its body and giant tail, swinging its head down. Su Xing only heard a whoosh. A gale blew, and immediately afterwards, the light above his head went dark. A violent power, like Mount Tai itself, pushed towards him. Su Xing immediately lowered his body, and then he evaded to his left side. With an enormous boom, the green-scaled unicorn python's tail swept past his body, heavily slamming on the lake water, ripping apart the pool. Suddenly, the 100 Grasses lake jolted out a wave. The mist lingered, dense and pervasive, mingling with poison, turning the air turbid and evil. When its strike missed, the green-scaled unicorn python did not give Su Xing any chance to catch his breath. Immediately, it began to launch its second wave of attacks. The green-scaled unicorn python opened its mouth. Several dozen thick poison lights sprayed out from its mouth, like massive pythons a size smaller than it. Bellowing, it bared its fangs and pounced towards Su Xing, its momentum astonishing. But the green-scaled unicorn python had only just begun when it suddenly felt its tail was in incomparable pain. Turning its eyes back, it spotted Su Xing's sword tip had already pierced into its tail, as if it was a nail hammered in. The green-scaled unicorn python felt great fury at the same moment. Su Xing also took the opportunity to approach. Calling out the flying swords, they twisted for the kill. Sword light flashed, and the green-scaled unicorn python that had just thought of spitting poison suddenly had its mouth torn open with a bloody cut. The green-scaled unicorn python howled, curling its body. The star beast forcefully repelled Su Xing. The green-scaled unicorn python did not pursue. It knew that today counted as enough. Having encountered an abnormally terrifying opponent, its eyes focused on the lake. At once, it turned and frantically sucked in a mouthful of the 100 Grasses lake to use for healing. Su Xing thought to himself that this star beast was intelligent, but he would not give it a chance. The next second, his flying swords enthusiastically kissed the green-scaled unicorn python. Su Xing also blasted the green-scaled unicorn python's body with Purple Mansion Immortal Thunder and other such powers. Worthy of being called the Savage Star's star beast, even though the green-scaled unicorn python sustained such an assault, it still could prolong its last breaths. Su Xing practically was using full power. The green-scaled unicorn python's snakeskin is very expensive material to use for clothing. Maybe I should give it to Suwen? Su Xing licked his lips, chuckling. Before his words finished, Su Xing moved like lightning. Instantly, he scuttled to the green-scaled unicorn python's head, 1 foot directly stepping on its flat face. Pity that the green-scaled unicorn python had yet to react, for following a snapping noise, its entire body suddenly leapt. In the end, the fierce star beast no longer considered the excruciating pain on its body. The green-scaled unicorn python suddenly opened its mouth, spraying a sort of thick, dark purple smoke. A green tornado engulfed the range of Tuzhong to the front. The entire lake wildly danced, blowing into an enormous hurricane. The Bai Yutong that was far to one side had retreated to a safe distance upon seeing this scene. What the green-scaled unicorn python sprayed out, Su Xing did not dare taste. His body techniques rapidly retreated. Then he jumped high. A Buddhist light glowed around his body, and lotus flowers blossomed in midair, becoming a 1,000-layered protection. His body somersaulted in the air. When he descended, his knees already protruded, heavily smashing into the dazed green-scaled unicorn python's head. Puff! Su Xing's knees accurately struck his target. One fist turned the green-scaled unicorn python spitting into a whimper, basically not giving the green-scaled unicorn python any time to cry. Su Xing's body suddenly whirled in midair. When he fell, his right leg carried a frightening whistle as it suddenly plunged. His heavy kick struck upon that horn while the green-scaled unicorn python was still wailing. Suddenly, an enormous power directly chopped it down, leaving an enormous hole in its head. A great amount of blood sprayed out. The green-scaled unicorn python madly writhed its body from the pain. It was infuriated, and Xie Diao also retreated so as to avoid being caught in it. The green-scaled unicorn python finally realized its situation. Trash, quickly kill him. Xie Diao saw that her own star beast was gradually being beaten back, simply feeling that this was unbelievable. Looking at this man, the green-scaled unicorn python knew that today, it had already become the tiny star master's prey. The green-scaled unicorn python was very resentful and very unreconciled. Even if it were to die, it wanted to give the enemy the price of acute pain. Its mistress gave her orders. The green-scaled unicorn python's snake eyes immediately locked onto the faraway Bai Yutong. From the girl's meek attitude, it could ascertain she lacked the strength to even truss a chicken. Harboring this thought, the green-scaled unicorn python raised its remaining power. Its snake tail violently swept back, suddenly piercing towards the girl like a sharp sword. Looking at the girl frozen in shock, the green-scaled unicorn python was confident she had been scared witless by its aggression, and its snake pupils took note out of the corner of its eyes that the man behind it did not move. Of course, that Bai Yutong and that little girl in red cloud clothes probably were merely so. The green-scaled unicorn python fiercely opened its maw. Gong Sun Huang's eyes blinked. Suddenly, she raised the pine-brand ancient sword. A red light flit by. She pierced the green-scaled unicorn python's belly. It bellowed and blood rained down. Su Xing at this time rushed back. His flying swords fell. This star beast was trapped and killed by the flying swords. Xie Diao's head hurt. Agape and tongue-tied, she looked at Su Xing's actions in disbelief. Her star beast had unexpectedly been defeated. Next is your turn. Su Xing's figure flashed, rushing over. Watch this. Countless green viper flying blades flew out, becoming a swift and severe storm. But that green light was very quickly intercepted by Su Xing. His flying swords descended directly from the front. Then, several golden needles rained down, surprising Su Xing. Do not think of hurting elder sister. Another voice came from the heavens. A practically identical little girl descended, and beside her was a beautiful lady. Fuck the both of them. Su Xing was taken aback. The newcomers were Lady Snake Scorpion and her other Scorpion Star General. Meanwhile, Wu Xinjie and Shi Yuan piloted the fire beacon chariot to very quickly arrive at a mountain cavity. The connecting heaven token had been deciphered by Wu Xinjie. They easily found the entrance, but what the knowledge star did not anticipate was that the exit was abnormally extraordinary. However, Wu Xinjie had yet to enter the connecting heaven tomb when they met with trouble. Haha, elder sister, we meet again. Why do I not see Lin Chong this time? A black-clothed woman, her hand holding a double-edged axe, smiled very thoughtfully. Wu Xinjie was very speechless. This woman was none other than the ranked 105th healthy star god of the dangerous road Yu Yuandan. When they first left Su Xing, they had encountered Yu Yuandan inside the Dragon Tiger ruins. 11. At that time, because they had Lin Chong, Yu Yuandan nearly died, but they did not expect to encounter her once again. Wu Xinjie could not help but sigh that the world was small. However, come to think of it, Yu Yuandan and her star master probably specially sought out these tombs to increase their strength. As far as earthly star were concerned, this indeed was the best route. The knowledge star and the thief star? Ha ha ha, the heavens are helping me. Is there no Lin Chong this time? Yuandan, kill them. Yu Yuandan's master was named Gu Chong, 12, very adept at feng shui, like Wu Xinjie, an expert at exploring tombs. The thief star was grim. She did not expect to encounter such a thorny opponent. Other star generals were fine, yet this was the one named god of the dangerous road. You go stall her master, I will handle Yu Yuandan. Wu Xinjie used sound transmission. The thief star very quickly hid. She waved the 5 poisons banner, calling forth the puppet mechanisms. Master, will you use the 8 gates black gold chain? Hua Shui said. Wu Xinjie declined this request. The 8 gates black gold chain was indeed very powerful, but because it was too powerful she could not overuse it. The mysteries within this connecting heaven tomb were numerous. Wu Xinjie was still counting on the 8 gates black gold chain to break through danger. This is perfect for testing the marksmanship young lord left to your servant. Hua Shui, you look for an opportunity. Wu Xinjie smiled. As you wish. Knowledge star, are you thinking of your last words? Uttering those words, Yu Yuandan sneered, a long and narrow beam of cold light flitting by like a bolt of brilliant lightning. The girl already used an attack as her reply. Wu Xinjie softly chuckled, throwing out a talisman, shooting like lightning towards her opponent. It transformed into a long sword, its attack changing paths, completely different from the way they met Yu Yanduan's weapon before. As if relying on the power of star energy, it immediately burst, its might very great. Even Yu Yuandan did not dare underestimate it, directly using her mountain-cutting double-edged axe to go block it, but that sword talisman instantly changed again. In that instant, it counterattacked like a snake coiling its head, completely not leaving any time to breathe. Little sister, do you truly wish to fight? Wu Xinjie slightly smiled. Silver blade appeared in her hand. The bullets would soundlessly shoot out from the sharp blade. 13, as if it were a terrifying assassin. Bang bang bang. The sounds of gunfire and metal clashing continuously rang. Wu Xinjie's first attack was a strange assault that ran completely against star generals. That attack was not only incomparably fast, but it was also perfect in terms of defense. Bullets and sword talismans were continuously thrown out, forming a frightening, inconceivable combination. So powerful, worthy of the resourceful knowledge star to be able to think of this. As it turned out, the god of the dangerous road liked to take the dangerous path. Incapable of obstructing Yu Yuandan's pace, the healthy star was like a peregrine falcon shuttling back and forth like lightning. Even if she was occasionally forced into a dead end of the attack net, her quick and accurate judgment in dodging was sufficient to get her out of harm's way. In an instant, that black figure was right before Wu Xinjie. Worthy of a powerful martial general of the earthly stars. The axe head wrapped in an ice-cold aura suddenly slashed down, bringing a blue light to her target's eyes. Wu Xinjie slightly smiled, her steps light as the wind, leaning to dodge this attack. That expansive arc of wind nevertheless suddenly changed direction upon touching the ground, changing from a direct path into a sweep. This time, The attack speed and power had both sharply increased, and Wu Xinjie had long made preparations for this. The gun and sword talismans that had combined together succeeded in sealing the path of Yu Yuandan's yellow rank. Cold light made Yu Yuandan unable to help but retreat. This defense that was absolutely not star energy in of itself was capable of resisting. Wu Xinjie counterattacked in this split second. Even though she had made mental preparations and used the weapon as a buffer, the Knowledge Star's tyrannical attack seemingly could not be looked down upon. Under a powerful impulse, Yu Yuandan's body was suddenly flicked several meters away, but the moment she touched the ground, the young girl already recovered her balance. A soft grunt. Bullets were fired. Practically in the moment Yu Yuandan caught sight of them, the revolving bullets seemed to penetrate her body. The mountain-cutting double-edged axe whirled to raise a gale that blew the bullets away. Oh! Upon seeing that she was unable to injure her, Wu Xinjie actually was not surprised at all. Still wished to fight? Is elder sister afraid? Yu Yuandan grit her teeth, suddenly rotating her wrist, using the action to interrupt her opponent's words. Yu Yuandan sneered, coldly shouting. The mountain-cutting double-edged axe danced, sprinkling a green wind towards Wu Xinjie. As if it was an unstoppable hurricane, it tightly enveloped her within blade light. Yellow rank technique. Wind shatter. 14. Hua Shui entered possession at just the right time, immediately boosting the entirety of Wu Xinjie's spiritual power to a new realm. Regardless of how crafty Yu Yuandan's attack angle was, however frequently she varied her speed, her attacks seemed incapable of harming Wu Xinjie in the slightest. Those omnipresent sword talismans and that practically strange in sound and style firearms whirled in a dance under Wu Xinjie's control, like an impenetrable rampart, shaking apart each and every one of Yu Yuandan's attacks. Yu Yuandan's yellow rank technique for the first time was unexpectedly unable to taste any results. After several exchanges, the offensive that the countless sword talismans and bullets formed finally had a hole torn in it. Yu Yuandan saw her opportunity. The mountain-cutting double-edged axe slashed ferociously. A glowing arc of light swept towards Wu Xinjie, completely without room for evasion. Wu Xinjie smiled as if she had foreseen this. However, the powerful sword aura did not slow in the slightest because of this, only slightly moving towards the side. Yu Yuandan fiercely shouted, her power suddenly increasing. Watch this dark rank. 5 mountains sea filling. Wu Xinjie felt her wrist suddenly turn heavy. 16, but the knowledge star was abnormally relaxed. The 9-tailed spirit fox Hua Shui transformed into a specter. Unexpectedly, she unbelievably broke free of the dark rank's pressure. Impossible. So strong. Yu Yuandan drew in a cold breath. Yuandan. That Gu Chong loudly shouted. Shi Yuan's puppets currently were appearing one after another at a steady rate. Although Shi Yuan did not have any combat strength, relying on multiple puppet mechanical beasts, even if Gu Chong was any more talented, he was helpless in the face of this crisis. Killing the controller of these puppet mechanical beasts was a good idea, but the Shi Yuan in wind-chasing shadow hiding had completely vanished. Gu Chong completely could not sense her. Goddamn it. These were obviously 2 trash star generals, dead at even the slightest touch. Unexpectedly, these 2 were capable of obstructing them. Gu Chong threw out several treasures and supreme-grade talismans to destroy a majority of the mechanical beasts. This young lady has refined 9,990 mechanical beasts. Play slowly. Shi Yuan's chuckles came from an unknown place. Damned thief star, if you have the ability, then come out. Gu Chong furiously cursed, do you truly want this young lady to come out? Shi Yuan suddenly laughed. And she actually appeared. Spotting her, Gu Chong did not hesitate at all to raise his flying sword and several supreme-grade talismans to destroy the surrounding mechanical beasts. Then, he used another talisman to trap Shi Yuan's presence. Following an escape technique, he instantly was in front of the thief star. The entire course of events flowed smoothly, direct, and efficient. Shi Yuan stared without moving. Fool die! When Gu Chong saw that Shi Yuan was unable to flee, he laughed and slashed. Shi Yuan's body was torn apart. Suddenly, Gu Chang's smile froze. The fake? Not good, mirror image talisman. Gu Chong immediately whirled around to attack behind him, but Shi Yuan had already disappeared and retreated, waving at him, that appearance seemingly saying, "Fare thee well." What? Before Gu Chong could react, suddenly, 5 rays of poison light soared into the sky. 5 poisons array. Gu Chang's face paled, and then he understood that he was caught in a trap. The thief star had set down the 5 poisons array at some point and deliberately lured him over. Gu Chong hastily wanted to defend, but the 5 poisons array was but a great array. At practically the moment before he returned to his senses, the 5 poison lights pierced his body. The extreme toxins immediately froze his consciousness. An unprecedented despair and regret filled his heart, and there was also an unbelievable feeling of being trapped. When were the thief star and knowledge star capable of these powers? Young master! Yu Yuandan spat blood in pain. And this was the fatal weak point of all contracted star generals. Apologies, little sister. Wu Xinjia's gunfire rang. A bullet pierced Yu Yuandan's heart. To surprisingly die here, healthy star god of the dangerous road. Yu Yuandan's face of indignation then received the fate of a starfall. A crimson star fell in the direction of Maiden Mountain, and Wu Xinjie expressed her regret. Due to the distance between her contracted star master and herself being too far apart, the crimson star of the healthy star god of the dangerous road Yu Baoxi that Wu Xinjie slain directly fell into Maiden Mountain. This was another reason why a star master and star general were required to stick to one another after signing a contract. Besides protecting the lives of their star masters, obtaining the strength of a crimson star in the star duels was another reason. Who let her provoke us? Shi Yuan fiddled with her puppet banners, noticing that the puppet mechanical beasts were not completely without usefulness. It seemed that in the future she could design several hundred high-ranking mechanical beasts. Enough ants could bite an elephant to death, however, if it was in the future, going to the White Tiger territory would be fine. Rumor had it that high-ranking demon beasts ran amok in the White Tiger territory. At that time, using several higher than 10th rank true spirits as puppet beasts would be awe-inspiring. Wu Xinjie did not reply. She extended a hand, bringing Gu Chang's astral bag over. Her divine intent probed within, discovering many talismans, artifacts and devices for investigating tombs and such. It seemed that this Gu Chong was generally specialized in doing this sort of thing. Besides this, there were several dozen maps for ruins. This just so happens to be able to assist us. Wu Xinjie smiled. Yuaner, burying his corpse will count as just a bit of respect for little sister. Then we will leave. Understood. Lin Yingmei and Wu Xiao very quickly arrived at a mountain range in the Azure Dragon territory known as the Jade Dragon. The Jade Dragon was a continuous extension across several thousand li. Looking down, the snow on the mountaintops seemingly bordered the heavens, appearing very magnificent, with a bone-chilling cold attacking in waves. Although the Jade Dragon mountain range was not of the Azure Dragon territory's 5 great mountain ranges, the ice-cold, nasty climate was barely second to the Snow Lotus Heavenly Mountain of the 5 great mountain ranges. The topography of the mountains was complex, the temperature extremely low. Due to the lack of spiritual influence in these mountains, there were few people roaming about. However, in Lin Yingmei's memory, she nevertheless knew that the materials for her 4-star destined weapon Arctic Star Serpent Spear could be found in abundance here. Xiao, we shall separate here for now as well. We shall each separately go searching. Wu Xiao said. Xiao, your servant does not mean this. Lin Yingmei shook her head. Wu Xiao was taken aback. Young master requires Xiao's aid, so your servant asks that Xiao properly protect young master? Lin Yingmei looked at Wu Xiao with a very serious tone. Your servant's star weapon can be resolved by your servant herself. Xiao, you have, for the sake of young master, delayed your own star weapon. Your servant cannot continue wasting your time. Yingmei, what are these words? How can we sisters leave one another? Why are you so distant? Wu Xiao was confused. Lin Yingmei smiled. It is as Wu Xinjie said. If we part ways now, then we can create even more opportunities. Seo also said this is the dignity of a star general. Seo ought to have faith in your servant. You are so cunning. Wu Seo was rendered unable to retort by her own words. If your servant is unable to depend on herself alone, then how can your servant protect young master? Seeing Wu Seo was still worried, Lin Yingmei once again smiled. Then may you be careful. At that time, you cannot fall further behind than your concubine. Wu Seo nodded. The two heavenly star marshal generals tacitly and naturally did not need to waste their breath on more words. Your concubine's 4-star is but already nearly complete. Lin Yingmei gladly nodded. Wu Seo stared for a moment. Urging on the white and black unicorn tiger, just as she was about to depart, Lin Yingmei abruptly said, Seo, can your servant ask you a question? Does Yingmei wish to ask your concubine at what time she will sign a star dual covenant with Lord Husband? Wu Seo turned her head back and gently smiled. Precisely. Although they were already addressed as husband and wife, they had not yet signed a contract. Lin Yingmei's heart was somewhat unable to be at peace. Your concubine has her own plans. Yingmei need not attempt to persuade your concubine. Seo smiled. Lin Yingmei sighed. Lad snake scorpion. Crying star twin-tailed scorpion Xiechan sat one a gigantic crimson and black-colored scorpion. That venomous scorpion tail split apart into a left and right. There were 2 stingers flickering with a dim light. Lady Snake Scorpion was at the side assuming a defensive stance. Aren't Star Masters not allowed to bring more than 1 Star General into Evil's Smiting Hall? Su Xing's head hurt. We sisters are of one mind, inseparable as form and shadow. Could it be an idiot like you does not know? Xiechan was unyielding. Although he had anticipated the required simultaneous contract of the Savage and Crying Stars would mean a not at all odd simultaneous appearance of both in Evil's Smiting Hall, a battle formation of both honestly put Su Xing in a thorny situation, particularly when he saw that the 2 little Lolas had 4 stars on their poison needles and hidden tools. Mama, be careful, he just killed little Diao's little green. Xie Diao was even more steady than Xie Chan, promptly warning Lady Snake Scorpion to guard against Su Xing. Lady Snake Scorpion flipped her hand. In her hand appeared the purple star astral treasure Star's falling dragon sword. White Rat, do you think that you are safe hiding behind your papa's back? Watch this scorpion tail needle. Xie Chan taunted. Her hand beckoned, and the 4-star gold scorpion fine rain needles whooshed as they shot out, turning into a golden downpour of stingers. The star beast's venomous crimson double tails each shot a rain of needles. More than 1,000 of the thin needles shot over in high concentration without any gaps. Gong Sun Huang's star magic activated. Su Xing turned around and hugged Bai Yutong close against his chest. Little Huang, we are leaving. Saying this, his 2 hands gestured. 24 flying swords twisted into the rain of needles. Then he soared in escape light with Gong Sun Huang without the slightest hesitation. How could Lady Snake Scorpion have anticipated that Su Xing would flee the moment he said he would? Just as she was about to go pursue, Gong Sun Huang activated a wind rolls the clouds to obstruct the. By the time they looked again, Su Xing had already fled far away. Mama, that man cannot escape from Evil's Smiting Hall hugging a White Rat. Let us go chase. Xie Chan was expressionless. Lady Snake Scorpion nodded, coldly laughing. Last time, you 2 defeated Gong Sun Huang. It was a pity we let her escape. This time, this leisure star has found a star master. We definitely cannot let her go. Elder sister, your star beast green-scaled unicorn python is truly useless. Xie Chan laughed up her sleeve. This queen did not expect that star master to be this powerful. We can take this chance to swap your star beast. Lady Snake Scorpion smiled. Xie Diao nodded. However, to escape from my black wind wings is truly laughable. Lady Snake Scorpion sneered and formed the orchid hand seal. Suddenly, a pair of black wings unfurled from her back. The wings flapped, and she was suddenly several times faster than an escape technique. So fast. Su Xing turned his head, astonished to see Lady Snake Scorpion had already closed this distance in several blinks of the eye. Lady Snake Scorpion's black wings flapped with a poison wind. Even though they were separate by several dozen li, the aura the high speed brought was still stifling. As the Leisure Star Master, is escaping not humiliating. Lady Snake Scorpion's sneer came from behind him. Su Xing did not have any interest fighting with her. Lady Snake Scorpion's twin stars possessed their Heaven-Earth Dark Yellow skill. Although he did not know how it was, if they used it, even Gong Sun Huang could be defeated in battle. Furthermore, Evil Smiting Hall had many restrictions within. A majority of Su Xing's magic weapons had lost their usefulness, let alone that Lady Snake Scorpion even possessed a purple star astral treasure. No matter how much more Su Xing showed off, he understood that he was completely at a disadvantage in a star duel within Evil Smiting Hall. Bai Yutong's big eyes blinked, not understanding why Su Xing would save her. Nether Serpent. 2 of Xie Chan's fingers came together as she used a yellow rank technique. The green tree viper gloom blade combined into a green serpent shape that suddenly made an incursion into the gap left at Su Xing's back. The Langya spread open around Su Xing's body. Clear light radiated brightly, and the poison items could not draw near him at all. Xie Chan furiously snorted. She wanted to use the Heaven-Earth Dark Yellow skill with her elder sister to vanquish Su Xing in one move. How could they have anticipated that this man would be really cunning, completely not giving them a chance to catch their breath? Let us see how long you can run. In the wind came an angry voice. Little Huang, take note of where your star beast is. Su Xing suddenly ordered. The twin star generals provoked them endlessly from behind, yet Gong Sun Huang was expressionless, as if she completely did not hear them. As the star general number 1 in magic energy, Gong Sun Huang did not have so-called vanity. Rather than say she was excessively calm, it was better to say that she had seen through the mundane world. Su Xing suddenly furrowed his brow, having been struck by a hidden weapon. Poison immediately flared up along his blood vessels. Fortunately, Su Xing's body had a detoxification pearl that completely suppressed the propagation of the poison, but he was still somewhat not accustomed to that piercing pain. Papa, drink wine. All of a sudden, the Bai Yutong on his chest extended her hand, having taken out a sparkling jade bottle with the wafting fragrance of wine, her voice soft as cotton candy. Hearing this address, Su Xing nearly vomited blood. Was he so old? Bai Yutong's pupils brimmed with a genuine concern. The bottle of wine her little hand held was her destined star weapon, Dreamless. This is the worry-free without a care that candy originally brewed. It can help Papa stifle the pain. When Su Xing heard that Papa address, his whole head leaked sweat. However, right now, he did not have the time to correct this. He opened his mouth and took a swig of essence water from inside Dreamless. The wine entered his throat, and instantly, it was like the heavens had sent down sweet dew. The pain promptly subsided. You close your eyes and take a nap like a good kid. By the time you wake up, everything will be over. Su Xing tenderly smiled at Bai Yutong. Bai Yutong's heart was very warm. She had a sort of feeling of being cared for by a father. She nodded, unconsciously actually closing her eyes. Rat Star Bai Yutong fell into a dream that was sweeter than candy. In the dream, she saw a giant phoenix bird perched atop a tree. Its crest was like a flame, as if it was imitating wearing a multicolored crown. The plumage of its whole body was graceful and refined. Its wingspan was able to cover the sky, its phoenix cry capable of splitting the earth. Rains of clouds followed that giant phoenix as it flew up. Inside the dream, she saw Su Xing and Gong Sun Huang face this huge bird, and there was also the stupefied Xie Zhen and Xie Bao and lady, all of them entangled in a melee. Amidst 10,000 rays of multicolored light, nothing could be seen clearly. She could only sense from time to time, the mountains shook and the earth quaked as if there was a cataclysm. From time to time, Buddhist light extended 10,000 zhang, and from time to time, she saw the serpent and the scorpion kiss each other. There were shouting voices, ice-cold laughs, cries of terror, screams of anger, and other very unpleasant sounds that blended with magic into complete confusion, utter chaos. To speak of this dream, it was indeed a dream. This was the first time in Bai Yutong's life that she had seen such a shaking and terrifying battle. She had merely originally wanted to come to Evil's Smiting Hall to carefully capture a white rat, nothing more. It was this that made her see a seeming terrible battle. Bai Yutong nevertheless did not feel any pressure. There was a sort of strength painstakingly protecting her from harm. "Candy, Candy," a gently voice slowly called her. Bai Yutong groaned, slowly opening her eyes. After the light passed, she saw a slightly smiling face. "Papa." Bai Yutong rubbed eyes drowsily. "Somo." Su Xing really wanted to hug her. "I'm really not a weird uncle. Cough, just call me Big Brother," Su Xing said. Bai Yutong's fawn-like eyes innocently stared at Su Xing. "Right now, let's go help you find a star beast. We don't have a lot of time. We have to leave." Su Xing smiled. Bai Yutong cocked her head. At this time, she spotted the Gong Sun Huang standing behind Su Xing. The white rat lowly suddenly very adorably opened her mouth. Perched beside Gong Sun Huang was the giant phoenix she had seen in her dream. However, compared to that kingly and dictatorial air from her dream, what was before her was only a gorgeous, extremely beautiful phoenix of multicolored light that appeared more meek than a lamb as it followed behind Gong Sun Huang. This was Gong Sun Huang's star beast, the new heavenly phoenix. "Did Papa chase them away?" Bai Yutong blinked her eyes. Su Xing's cheeks streamed with tears. Bai Yutong clearly took the crying star's words just now very seriously, but he was only in his 20s. Now, he unexpectedly had a daughter. Su Xing had originally wanted to set Bai Yutong's address right, but seeing the little lowly's innocent and pure eyes, he could not utter the words. Perhaps to Daylight Rat Bai Yutong, the word father contained an even greater feeling of safety. "At least I'm not a weird uncle," Su Xing consoled himself. Bai Yutong looked at the new heavenly phoenix, her pupils somewhat afraid as she ducked into Su Xing's chest. "This is new." Gong Sun Huang had given her star beast a very lazy name. "Oh." Bai Yutong was still somewhat afraid. To the rat star who was only at heartbeat 5th stage, the empress-like might of the new heavenly phoenix in front of her was too intense. The new heavenly phoenix was also called the new phoenix bird. In the star beast list, it was side by side with the golden qilin for second strongest star beast. If based on strength alone, the new phoenix bird was stronger than the golden qilin, regardless of whether it be its graceful figure or its magnificent capabilities. However, the new heavenly phoenix honestly was too proud. Even though it had become a star beast, it would only participate in a few battles. Thus, it was ranked second with the golden qilin. In the past, there were new heavenly phoenixes that refused to battle, leading to their own star generals ending in starfalls. However, star beasts like this that infinitely drew near the level of holy beasts, even the deaths of their contractors did not mean much to them at all. Like this new phoenix bird, regardless of how Su Xing and Gong Sun Huang worked together, they could not possibly capture it. Everything was thanks to Lady Snake Scorpion's unique goo poison. Recalling the eliminated Heavenly Star twins and the Lady Snake Scorpion who fled Evil's Smiting Hall with her tail between her legs, Su Xing sighed in understanding. "Papa, drink wine. Are you hurt?" Bai Yutong carefully raised Dreamless. Su Xing was surprised. He did not expect that Bai Yutong's perceptive ability was very careful. Capturing the new heavenly phoenix made Su Xing battered and exhausted. However, before he woke up Bai Yutong, Su Xing had already made himself look unharmed. He did not expect this little lowly would still be able to discern a bit. Having such a clever daughter was not bad. Su Xing let Gong Sun Huang also drink a mouthful. The exceedingly refined leisure star showed a rare face of satisfaction. "Tang Tang, we don't have a lot of time. What star beast are you looking for? Big Brother will help you go capture it." Su Xing hugged Bai Yutong against his chest. Bai Yutong's little hand grasped Su Xing's lapel, cautiously saying, "Tangwa only wants an essence spirit rat. 2, let's go look for it right now." Su Xing nodded. "Right, Tang Tang, do you want to sign a contract with me?" Su Xing smiled and asked. "All right." Bai Yutong very obediently nodded her head. Su Xing's heart was like it had tasted the sweetness of honey. This little loli was honestly too adorable. He could not hold back from once again pecking the little loli's cheek. Where do you live? I'll come find you next time, wait for Big Brother. Tangwa lives at? Bai Yutong cocked her head, dazed. Spring Breeze Drunken Rain Pavilion. 3. That is what the elder sisters told Tangwa. You even have elder sisters. Su Xing was taken aback. There is also Mama. They take very good care of Tangwa. Bai Yutong's eyes closed into crescents. It seemed that Bai Yutong's livelihood was pretty good, so Su Xing was a bit relieved. However, the little loli obviously did not remember where her home was. It was no wonder. To be so muddle-headed, she definitely had been very well protected. Are they star generals too? Su Xing muttered, the next I come find you, don't forget about me. Su Xing teased her. Bai Yutong shook her head, adorably saying she would not. Black Turtle Territory, East Mountain Island, Spring Breeze Drunken Rain Pavilion, on this day of rest. How has she not yet returned yet? A roar resounded inside this restaurant. The tables, wine mugs, and tea plates were rattled into clattering about. A young woman with long, trailing pink hair and wearing a pink skirt resentfully stamped one leg onto a table, nearly flipping it over. In one hand, she supported a tray. In front of her was an intoxicated woman. Her blue hair was level with her ears, and she was dressed somewhat carelessly. Her bandage tube top exposed a large expanse of snow-white skin and shoulders. She was currently using the top-notch astral tool, Twinkling Star Stone, a whetstone, to grind a silver saw-toothed weapon that was in her hands. Xinhua, 5, are you not the slightest bit worried about the girl? The pink woman's face was very red. Tong, 6, there is no use in being worried right now. Xinhua closed one eye and helplessly said. Seeing the tray in Tonger's hand held a large slab of savory beef that was to be paired with wine, she licked her lips. Tonga, this is the roast beef that you cooked. Let me taste it first. Tonga flung the roast beef aside. No food for you today. Ha! Xinhua was shocked. Mistress, 7, your darts are not at the correct heat. A woman wearing a green short garment and wide sleeves showing snowy skin pointed as she danced light as a butterfly. The tray that flew over was propped on her finger, and the woman giggled. Roast beef this great saint likes. She sniffed, immediately swallowing a piece without ceremony. You truly are not concerned with Tang Tang in the slightest. This old woman does not agree with any of you. Tonga was very angry. The green-clothed girl gave Xinhua, you had better go quickly comfort her, expression. Tonga, evil smiting hall is already about to draw to a close. At this time, there will not be too many star generals, so there is no use in worrying any further. Tang Tang is very clever. Did we not also give her a 9 Heavens Divine Escape Talisman? 8. Even if she were to encounter danger, she could escape. Xinhua helplessly said. Tonga grunted. This old woman still worries, manner. Let alone, has little King not gone out to search for her? They will return soon enough. But it has been so many days. Everyone, stop quarreling. Quickly come and taste my freshly brewed, white bones wine. Tin. From the kitchen came a seemingly smiling woman with a cloud bun and wearing a revealing white qipao that also exposed the sides of her breasts daintily walked out. In one hand she held a vegetable knife, and in the other, she propped up a tray of wine. The smell of the white bones, leaven, was penetrating. Though she called for them, the rest retreated. Balian, 12, you did this again. Do you want to kill someone? Come and have a taste? 3 dozen cups of white bones wine. I brewed it with great difficulty. You must listen to elder sister's words. Little sisters are definitely not busy, and elder sister used lots of effort to brew. Balian smiled insincerely, an expression of, you must properly enjoy this. The girls shivered. No. Balian, this old woman wants to expel you. Be obedient. Ah, my Tang Tang, quickly come back. A ruckus arose inside the store, screams everywhere. Outside the restaurant, an indifferent and languid woman sat atop a stone lion, drinking wine. Hearing the chaos inside, she said with a bored tone, Truly so noisy. Inside Evil's Smiting Hall, the Essence Spirit Rat was currently scurrying about at high speed. Su Xing originally thought this rat would be rather easy to catch, but he did not expect it would actually be very clever. "Little Huang, let's split up and catch it," Su Xing directed. Gongsun Huang self-satisfactorily turned into a ray of escape light. "Papa, don't hurt Bye-Bye." 13. It likes to drink wine. The Baiyu Tong on his chest clenched her little hand nervously. Su Xing smiled. She had even thought up of a name already. Bye-Bye? What an honestly cute name. Su Xing nodded, however, although they could lure it with wine, that would require time. After Gongsun Huang captured the new heavenly phoenix, one day absolutely was not enough. For this reason, Su Xing wanted to quickly capture this rat. To leave Bai Yutong behind alone in Evil's Smiting Hall, his heart was not steady at all. He bit open the tip of his tongue, spitting out essence blood that transformed into the sparkling golden immortal linked life ring. Gongsun Huang's star magic activated, perfectly blocking the essence spirit rat's path. The white shadow flickered. Su Xing's hand moved, making the golden immortal linked life ring trap it. The essence blood faded. The Su Xing that had already sustained internal injuries was hurt even more. However, so long as he could grab this essence spirit rat, that was negligible. When Su Xing put all of his mind on the essence spirit rat, all of a sudden, a bone-chilling murderous aura sneak attacked. That killing intent was very concentrated and heavy, like a mountain. Su Xing's heart was astonished. Hastily, he flung up his arms, tossing Bai Yutong to a safe range. Immediately, he did not hesitate at all to call forth his flying swords. The killing intent slammed onto the swords, not slowing in the slightest. What appeared in front of Su Xing was a fang-like axe. The killing intent the axe head slashed with surged like a tide. Each attack made Su Xing feel a sort of heavy pressure. Su Xing used all of his strength to capture the new heavenly phoenix. He had long spent all of his star energy. Receiving this strike, there was no way but to use his body to offload the intense killing intent of the axe head. Retreating, he continuously slid backwards. Bang! The baleful aura's continuous attacks already nearly enveloped and devoured Su Xing. Su Xing grit his teeth. His legs suddenly exerted force. The meditative mind lotus flower blossomed, and he used the last bit of remaining Buddhist magic energy. The fierce power that was like a tsunami instantly counterattacked, launching a fatal strike. Su Xing rushed through the opponent's encirclement, but a figure already arrived instantly. Yellow rank technique scarred all over body. 14. There was a shout, and a woman wearing blue clothes yelled. Her long axe swung directly down. The killing intent surging on the bright axe head shot out, becoming countless tusks about to swallow Su Xing. Yellow rank technique, the killing intent that could seemingly twist the world to death, immediately blocked all of Su Xing's lines of sight. At this moment, even if he wanted to quickly escape, he was too late. The yellow rank scarred all over body made the range of the killing intent suddenly turn wide. After it pounced towards its target, it would seemingly seal the entire space. Even if Su Xing wanted to flee, he had no place to hide. The entire baleful aura more fierce than a tide spread open. Boom! It viewed from the sky, this indeed was a spectacular scene. In the range between Su Xing and the opponent, killing intent spread boundlessly. Like the fangs of a wild animal, killing intent was emitted in layers, opening a breathtaking ferocity. Just relying on this, Su Xing knew that the young girl in front of him was a star general of considerable martial force. However, she should be only an earthly star. But Su Xing's strength was currently able to be contend against an earthly star somewhat. After all, it was no joke that he had sparred with top-notch martial generals like Wu Xiyo and Lin Yingmei, especially when Su Xing had inherited heavenly solitary star Lu Shaqing's innate skill monster strength. The meditative mind lotus flower bloomed and enveloped Su Xing. His eyes burned with an ice-cold flame. This was the expression of a most tranquil state that possessed calm, ice-cold yet brimming with might. Facing this killing intent with no place to hide from, Su Xing now already would not be frightened. Everything felt to be forgotten in the back of his head. The sole fear he could feel was only a full power battle. Flying swords combined with the meditative mind lotus flower. Boundless magic energy broke open the flames, shooting directly at the opponent. The girl clearly did not anticipate this. She hastily clenched tight her halberd, assuming a defensive stance. The girl's reaction were fast. In a spurt of energy, she suddenly rushed forward, roaring as she brandished her halberd, carving an arc of blue detachment in the air. Su Xing instantly used his flying swords to form a shield. He used the wide sword shield to block this attack. Although the flying swords were shaken by the opponent's thrust enough that his divine intent was diminished, the person himself nevertheless did not care. Su Xing seized this opportunity, his two hands grabbing at her, quick as lightning. The tyrannical and surly monster's strength pounced over. As if more terrifying than the Star General's yellow rank just now, the young girl's halberd became a bolt of blue light that blocked Su Xing's double punch, but Su Xing's monster strength had only just begun. The girl only felt her destined star weapon violently shake upon receiving the powerful force. The weapon whined, a frightening power rapidly meshing against the weapon's axe head. The girl's reactions were extremely swift. Taking a step back, she suddenly somersaulted backwards as she swept her halberd. Su Xing already was an arrow at the end of its path. He wanted to raise a hand to seize the opponent's star weapon to make it lose its menace. How could he have anticipated that this Star General's martial arts were quite consummate, unexpectedly cleverly using the backwards flip to dissipate Su Xing's monster strength? A beautiful leg kicked Su Xing's chin. Su Xing's arms blocked this, jolting him numb. He lost awareness for a moment, but he showed a gap. Su Xing had no choice but to retreat backwards, and the young girl pursed her lips tightly. Continuously sneering, the halberd fluttering in her hands suddenly slashed. With everything at stake, Su Xing wonderfully spun to avoid this attack. Several returning flying swords entangled her. The young girl's hands brandished the axe, wishing to dispatch Su Xing in a single blow, but the martial arts that Su Xing displayed made her quite astonished. This man's martial arts unexpectedly were somewhat above her. Su Xing rushed straight, his speed instantly accelerating as he turned into an afterimage. The trajectories of the flying swords rapidly gathered and slashed. Su Xing suddenly exerted strength, offloading the defense of the young girl's halberd. The flying swords became a sword light that practically was a perfect point flitting across the young girl's neck, drawing open a minute wound. The speed of this slash was quick to the point that the wound had forgotten to bleed. The girl felt the blood on her neck. Her eyes grew wide and she felt shock. "Die!" the girl resentfully said. Her pace shifted forwards, and the next second, she once again launched an attack. The halberd shook with a light that intertwined with her murderous aura, the tip dragging a brilliant trail, breaking open the surrounding concentrated air, and under the frequent changes in rhythm of that assault, because of the murderous aura that arose from the collisions, both of their figures were enveloped within. Passing through the tip of chilliness, Su Xing could now already see the graceful battle style of the young girl. She wore blue armor, but that was only one shoulder pad. Similarly, her bra protected her breasts also along only one side. Within was green underwear that bulged the girl's plump chest. Every time she fiercely waved her axe, he would glimpse dazzling white ripples. The girl's lower body was also dressed boldly yet carefreely. The armor style was that of a short skirt, revealing her snow-white thighs. Protecting her wrists and ankles were dark green and translucent pieces. The girl had a hairpin in her long hair, and she wore a red scarf. Beautiful as she was, her expression was quite angry. Su Xing was somewhat confused at this sort of anger. Even if this was a star duel, there was no need to have this kind of absolutely irreconcilable animosity. Sensing Su Xing's gaze upon her body was wantonly staring, the girl was infuriated. Her hands raised the halberd, assuming a strange posture. There was a sort of strange illusion. That silvery halberd seemingly disappeared from the girl's hands. Immediately afterwards, countless axe images appeared. Each axe blade shadow flit by with an oppressive power. Instantly, before Su Xing were seemingly a dozen, 24, 100 or even more of the young girl. The specters were somewhat unreal. Those dazzling axe images staggered like dragon fangs moving about. The axe fangs became dragon fangs, numberless, as a dazzling killing intent of the dragon fangs surrounded him all directions and angles without the slightest blind spot. There was no need to say that things were bad. Dark rank technique. With murderous spirits surrounding his whole body, a chilly feeling bubbling forth, Su Xing promptly felt the power of this girl's attack. This was a dark rank technique. Roaring Fang of Heavenly Dragon. Millions of dragon fangs slashed at him, leaving Su Xing dumbstruck. This attack of thousands of blades wielded in a breath's time was practically without any gaps. Perfect enough to make one's hair stand on end, even a fighter of any higher caliber would have no way to block upon suddenly encountering this unforeseen event, let alone that Su Xing was not at his peak state and was even somewhat weak. The roaring Fang of Heavenly Dragon tangled with the flying swords. With only the clanging sound of the flying swords being attacked, the life-cast flying swords were currently being cut down by that powerful killing intent. Su Xing could sense the ferocity of his opponent's technique. The pair's exchange was seemingly slow, but it nevertheless passed in an instant. Elder sister Little Ku, don't hurt Papa. Bai Yutong ran over in a panic. Bam, she was tripped onto the ground by a stone. The young woman was startled, retreating, forcing her attack to a stop. Immediately, she flashed to reach Bai Yutong's side, but she suddenly discovered a multicolored light covered her, making her unable to move her arms or legs in the slightest, as if she had been shackled. A phoenix's cry resounded. A graceful and elegant phoenix flew overhead. Standing atop the phoenix was Gong Sun Huang, expressionless. The pine-brand ancient sword was pointed at the girl, about to activate a star magic for an attack. New Heavenly Phoenix. The girl was very pale from shock. Little Huang, don't kill her. Su Xing drew in a breath, retracting his flying swords and stopping Gong Sun Huang's attack. Gong Sun Huang was perplexed. Nevertheless, she immediately retracted her killing intent, but the new phoenix bird still eyed the young woman. Tang, do you know her? When Su Xing heard Bai Yutong call her elder sister Little Ku, he already understood why this girl would show him so much animosity. As it turned out, she took him to be the bad guy imprisoning Bai Yutong. Su Xing then flipped out the birth treasure outline. The girl's martial force was fierce. That dark rank at the end nearly broke his immemorial flying swords. Star position, Horn Star, 2, Star name, Zhou Run, 3, Nickname, Single Horn Dragon True name, Zhou Ke 5, Rank, 91st Star Weapon, Fang of Broken Skies, 6, 3 Star, Star Beast, Realm, 10,000 Techniques First Stage Innate Skill, Axe Technique 5 Elements, Wood Yellow Rank Technique, Scarred All Over Body Dark Rank Technique, Roaring Fang of Heavenly Dragon Current Status, No Contractor, Cannot be Conquered, Detailed Materials, Cannot sign a Star Dual Covenant Inside Evil. Smiting Hall, the ranked 91st Horn Star Single Horn Dragon Zhou Run. Su Xing exclaimed. Furthermore, she was 10,000 Techniques First Stage. Fortunately, her star weapon was only 3 star. He had actually gotten lucky, otherwise in that moment, the flying swords would have again suffered the consequences. Seeing that Su Xing surprisingly possessed the birth treasure outline, Zhou Ke's eyes were even more wary. She's elder sister Little Ku, Papa, she takes very good care of Tangwa. Bai Yutong grasped at Su Xing's hems, very pitiful. Teng, what did you call him? Do not be deceived by this star master. Zhou Ku sternly said. To still be able to think of Bai Yutong at her own moment of crisis, this single-horned dragon Zhou Ku was actually somewhat warm-hearted. Su Xing glanced at Gong Sun Huang. The new Heavenly Phoenix flapped its wings, recalling the tens of thousands of layers of multicolored light. Zhou Ku rushed at Su Xing the moment she saw this. Before she could approach, star magic sent her recoiling back. Do not approach His Highness. The meaning of Gong Sun Huang's expression was very clear. Leisure Star Dragon in the clouds? Zhou Ku was even more dumbstruck. Since you're Tong Tong's elder sister, then it's just a misunderstanding. Su Xing said. Gong Sun Huang at this time waved her hand. A quick-witted little white rat fell into Bai Yutong's palm. The little lowly showed an expression of cute and pleasant surprise, carefully using the evil smiting writ to capture the essence spirit rat. The golden immortal linked life ring was withdrawn, and the essence spirit rat excitedly leapt onto the little lowly's shoulder and licked her face, making Bai Yutong happily giggle. Tang, we should go back. Mistress is very worried about you. Zoku tightly gripped her halberd. Oh. Bai Yutong was somewhat reluctant to part with Su Xing. Papa, Tangwa is going home for now. And, next time I'll come pick you up. Su Xing nodded, tenderly speaking. The little lowly bashfully pecked Su Xing's cheek, and then she ran to Zoku's side. The single horn dragon hatefully glanced at Su Xing. She whispered something to Tang as if she was saying, "How can you randomly call a star master you just met, Papa? Mistress will be angry," or "Do not believe in star masters," or the like. In the end, Zoku menacingly glared at Su Xing, that expression seemingly saying, "If you dare once again lure Tang, then I will show you." Your Highness. Gongsun Huang nimbly jumped, landing on Su Xing's shoulder. Let's go back too. Su Xing drew in a breath. To have this encounter during their final trip to Evil Smiting Hall was somewhat outside of expectation, but encountering Lady Snake Scorpion and capturing the new Heavenly Phoenix, even being treated as a father by a super little lowly was simply a bit too surreal. Afterwards, Su Xing and Gongsun Huang disappeared from Evil Smiting Hall. To Su Xing, the Evil Smiting Hall phase had already thoroughly concluded. Lady Snake Scorpion very unhappily returned to the Jade Alum Palace, her heart truly resentful to the extreme. Damn, this queen was played with by that man. She closed her eyes, and in her mind appeared the figures of the Leisure Star and Su Xing. The Savage Star and Crying Star's Heaven Earth Dark Yellow skill mistakenly struck the new Phoenix bird, which led to the final juncture. Not only did they not seize the chance to kill the Leisure Star, her own star generals were both killed into the star nest. If it was not for using the Purple Star Astral Treasure Star Falling Dragon Sword at the very end, Lady Snake Scorpion feared she would not have been able to flee back here. This number 1 in magic energy Star General was not just for show, as expected. What she hated was that because she used that Star Falling Dragon Sword, her foes had a very good probability to capture the new Heavenly Phoenix. If that man was not trash, capturing it would not be a problem. Everything seemed to have been planned for. Damn it. Lady Snake Scorpion's whole body was very painful. She tore the bedsheets to shreds. Queen, the great king has come. A maid cautiously said. My wife, how is the matter of the Evil Smiting Hall? A golden armored man walked into the chambers, beaming. Great king. Lady Snake Scorpion threw herself over, showing a feeble attitude. Wife, what has happened? To be so hurt? Great Saint Falling Sky Rock Demon King was startled. Lady Snake Scorpion stammered out her encounter in Evil Smiting Hall, even embellishing the details a bit. The Rock Demon King was extremely furious. What a brazen child, to unexpectedly dare hurt my wife. This king shall issue orders to have them found. Great king, do not quell your anger. This star duel can only be blamed on your servant's incompetence. Lady Snake Scorpion sighed. Hearing these words, the Rock Demon King was also unsightly. How can this king's wife be incompetent? However, the Leisure Star possessing the new Phoenix bird is indeed troublesome. The Rock Demon King knew its might, muttering to himself for a moment. He made a determination and said, never expected the star duels to be so ever-changing. No matter, this king can only hand over that thing to wife, to assist wife in obtaining the star duels. Joy carelessly flashed past Lady Snake Scorpion's eyes. Many thanks to great king. 2 days passed, and just as he was preparing to travel to the Black Turtle territory, all of a sudden, Tang Lianxin came to see him. Elder brother, the headmaster has sent a summons. He wants us to go on a trip to the main hall. Su Xing nodded. Subsequently, he and Tang Lianxin made for the Four Style School's main hall. Along the way, Su Xing asked her for what matter the headmaster was seeking him. As the Four Style School's most pampered great disciple and star master, Su Xing already possessed the sex prerogative. Normally, no one would meddle with what he did inside the school. If Su Xing was missing something, he need only mention it. Tang Lianxin shook her head, also unaware. Main hall. Paying respects to headmaster, masters, and all senior teachers. Su Xing cupped his fist. Suddenly he was astonished. Sitting on the seat beside the headmaster was an absolutely beautiful young lady dressed in purple. Her brows were like smoke, and she watched Su Xing's arrival with a seeming smile. Ling Yan Princess Zhao Hanyan. Su Xing had never anticipated that he would encounter her here. Your Highness Princess, this is Su Xing, the headmaster said, making Su Xing sit on his other side. Many thanks to headmaster. Can Hanyan take him now? Zhao Hanyan's gentle appearance made Su Xing feel that he had seen the wrong person. Of course you can. Su Xing, the Ling Yan Princess' birthday was several days ago. This time, she has something to ask of you. You must properly receive her. Juyueka kindly said. Birthday? Su Xing's heart pounded, and he suddenly recalled the promise he made to Zhao Hanyan inside Evil Smiting Hall. Because the matter of Buddha Kingdom was too complicated, he had completely forgotten this matter. However, he was still somewhat perplexed as to how Zhao Hanyan found him here. Zhao Hanyan's expression seemingly smiled yet did not. Disciple has some matters that he fears. Su Xing felt that he had best first lay low for now. What matter could be more important than this princess' personal invitation? Zhao Hanyan's smile appeared simply angelic to an outsider's perspective. Each and every single one of those sect elders and hall masters were captivated. Nevertheless, Su Xing could discern the demonic displeasure within. Su Xing, do not decline. Juyueka said, clearly also not wishing to offend the great Liang dynasty. Su Xing could only begrudgingly comply. Su Xing, come with this princess. Zhao Hanyan gracefully left the hall. Their flying swords skyrocketed, and very quickly, they left the range of the Four Styles School. Zhao Hanyan, how did you find me? Su Xing's riding sword flew alongside her as he asked. Zhao Hanyan flung her head away, not minding him as if she was a spoiled child. Did you forget the intertwined sword you have with Princess? With this, how is finding you strange? Steadfast Star Dong Junqing emerged, her tone disdainful as she stared at Su Xing. Su Xing understood. Junqing, do not mind this untrustworthy man. Zhao Hanyan coldly said. Su Xing perspired. As expected, she was angry. The steadfast star harumphed, ruthlessly glaring at Su Xing. Then she entered the star nest again. Flying for a while, from beginning to end Zhao Hanyan did not speak at all, seething, somewhat like a daughter. When Su Xing saw the renowned Ling Yan princess daughter-like appearance, he actually felt this was quite cute, and he laughed. What are you laughing at? Zhao Hanyan glared. Your angry face is rather cute. Su Xing said truthfully. You unfaithful traitor. Zhao Hanyan's anger flourished. The 72 outer void flying immortals' swords flew out. Just as she was about to attack Su Xing, the intertwined branch swords suddenly activated, and heart groaned in pain. Bastard! Zhao Hanyan cursed, very unladylike. Alright, sorry. It was because I had some matters to attend to that I really couldn't break free of. Su Xing was not fond of going back on his word, but what had happened in the Buddha Kingdom honestly could not have been avoided. Earnestly and sincerely he apologized. Your husband has but experienced 9 deaths and is still alive. Su Xing saying this made Zhao Hanyan's anger immediately quell, as expected. Seeing the concern in her eyes was not feigned, Su Xing's heart actually was somewhat warm. Are you thinking of swindling this princess? Zhao Hanyan's tone sunk. I can't help it if you don't believe me. Hanyan, you've known me for so long, when have you ever seen me smooth and steady? Zhao Hanyan looked pensive. The purple thunder monster had always been fond of provoking right and wrong. He had turned both the Azure Dragon territory and Vermilion Bird territory upside down anyways. Seeing Su Xing's wholehearted sincerity, Zhao Hanyan's tone also softened. This princess' first invitation, you unexpectedly made this princess look unsightly. Su Xing, what do you say we do? We're already husband and wife, just don't fuss over the minor things. I have never fussed over that preference of yours. Su Xing shook his head. Zhao Hanyan's face turned red, and she spat. Bastard, conversing with this guy would always make her go mad. Obviously, he had previously missed his appointment, yet she now had wronged herself. Just where are we going now? Su Xing asked her. I've still got things to do. What? Does being together with this princess so unbearable to you? The Ling Yan princess was in quite the bad mood. At her birthday banquet, each and every one of those princes, dukes and marquis fawned over her, wishing to speak a little longer with her. Others could not do so even if they requested. Though he was good, even when he was so close to one in a position of power, he unexpectedly gave that up. How could this princess have initiated the 1,000-year intertwines with such a man that did not love her? Truly, he makes this princess angered to death. Su Xing indeed was very pressed for time. Lin Yingmei and the other beauties were rushing about constantly on the outside. How could he have the leisure to engage in sentiments? His flying sword stopped, and he earnestly said, Han Yan, if you don't have anything, can I actually go? Zhao Hanyan originally wanted to curse him, but seeing that Su Xing's expression was not seemingly joking, she wrinkled her brows and said, You have made this princess appear unsightly. Could it be that helping this princess do some things is out of the question? What things? How long will it take? Su Xing asked. Zhao Hanyan's expression said, Are you in a rush to go reincarnate? Princess Highness wishes for you to go see a certain Lingdong Countess Yi Lingxi. 3. Dong Junqing emerged again. Seeing Zhao Hanyan and Su Xing like this, she spoke. Lingdong Countess Yi Lingxi? She is the daughter of Prince Xinwu. Oh, what would you have me do? I haven't collaborated with her. Su Xing expressed innocence. Zhao Hanyan coldly grinned. Whether you can collaborate with the lady, this princess has no opinion. Things were like this. This Prince Xinwu was one of the 3 great princes that originally helped Emperor Liang establish the Great Liang dynasty. The two were close friends, but the Lingdong Countess and Zhao Hanyan nevertheless did not get along at all. Zhao Hanyan's birthday banquet, according to Great Liang custom, was to allow the Ling Yan princess to select a husband. In short, the Lingdong Countess probably mocked Zhao Hanyan for something, and then Zhao Hanyan did not keep her cool and somehow mentioned Su Xing. This actually was not much. Originally, Su Xing had wanted to come, and Zhao Hanyan had naturally spoken to Emperor Liang beforehand. In any case, Zhao Hanyan did not know what she was thinking and spoke of Su Xing with extravagant embellishments, even talking big that the Lingdong Countess was not to fancy him upon seeing him, and so on. Su Xing was speechless. How can you blame this on this princess? That woman is honestly loathsome. Zhao Hanyan was red-faced. So you sold out your lord husband like this? Are you blaming this princess? You yourself surprisingly missed this princess' birthday banquet. Do you know how embarrassing this princess appeared at that moment? Do you? Zhao Hanyan said furiously. Suddenly sensing an incorrect address, she hurriedly said, What lord husband, you unexpectedly dare take advantage of this princess? Su Xing could imagine how embarrassed Zhao Hanyan would have appeared at that time, and his heart softened. Then could it be that we are seeking her out now just to show me off? Su Xing felt this Zhao Hanyan was too childish. Dong Junqing gave Su Xing a very rare look of agreement. No, this princess wants you to seduce her. Zhao Hanyan's words were earth-shattering. Su Xing was wildly dizzy. You're treating me as a Casanova, how could there be a wife like you? Since you can have that many star generals following you, what does this count as? Zhao Hanyan snorted, a little bit of jealousy in her words. These are 2 different things. Even if I were to seduce her, I'd have to do it slowly. How can anyone do such a thing at first sight? Su Xing shook his head. Zhao Hanyan said, You are a beast, sure enough. No matter, use as much time as you need. In short, you must help this princess take back this disgrace. Otherwise, this princess will take you down with her. I'm about to faint. She had even spoke of dying together in the name of love. Su Xing truly was defeated. Muttering to himself, Su Xing suddenly recalled something. Han Yen, wouldn't it be better to compromise? How about it? Do you have a plan? Zhao Hanyan and Dong Junqing both were taken aback. Zhao Hanyan uttered those words of anger and was somewhat vexed. She did not plan that Su Xing could do something, but hearing Su Xing apparently actually had some means, the Lingyan princess was immediately curious. First, you tell me the matters of her family, then I'll do some thinking. Su Xing was not too certain. Their flying swords were en route, and Zhao Hanyan told Su Xing about Lingdong Countess Yi Lingxi's personality and livelihood. Because they had known each other since they were small, she could be counted as very understanding. Hearing that Yi Lingxi's personality was somewhat proud, Su Xing's eyes lit up. Perhaps I have a way. What way? How about I have her and her mother voluntarily kiss me? Su Xing said. Huh. These words made Zhao Hanyan dumb as a wooden chicken. She felt that she may have misheard. To make Yi Lingxi kiss of her own volition inherently was not too possible, yet Su Xing unexpectedly had designs on Yi Lingxi's mother. He had to know that Madame Yi was but a cold and unreasonable person. In short, can I or can't I? Su Xing said. You will get exactly what you look for, but are you mocking this princess' happiness? Zhao Hanyan was doubtful. To be frank, there must be some other arrangements as well. Let's make a bet. If I can do it, you'll send me a kiss. Su Xing said. Shameless. To be asked by you to do this sort of thing, Hanyan, don't you feel guilty? Su Xing spoke uprightly. Fine. If you can do it, but if you are unable to? Zhao Hanyan mockingly asked. Princess. Dong Junqing had a bad feeling. If I can't do it, then whatever punishment you see fit. She could not hurt him, anyways. That is settled then. If you cannot accomplish it, then you will listen and obey this princess for one matter. Upon meeting Maidens for the first time, Su Xing only felt that the woman before his eyes exuded a mature charm from head to toe. Her stature was tall, and her plump chest and that beautiful countenance could very easily make a man's imagination run wild. Everything was fine except for one small defect, which was that sort of cold and destructive sense of beauty that evolved from within her. Are you the man that Han Yen fancies so much? The lady of the prince was taken aback. Watching Su Xing, she gently smiled, her expression very curious. Your servant is Su Xing, as you see. Su Xing presented his etiquette. You truly are very young. Madam Prince, 6, faintly smiled. Madam also appears very young. A maid brought over black tea. Drinking a mouthful, Su Xing said to Zhao Hanyan, go see your confidant, 7 Yi Lingxi. You may as well inform her that I await her inside the drawing room. Zhao Hanyan affirmed, her expression suspicious, not knowing what medicine Su Xing had shown off before she rose and followed the maid into the other room. The drawing room was very quickly left with 2 people. The Lingyan princess has named your distinguished self Su Xing as her one and only best man. Madam Yi said. However, your distinguished self's figure was nevertheless absent from the banquet. Your servant was delayed because of an important matter. This time, your servant has come because he hears that Han Yen and the madam's daughter have a bet, so, Su Xing set down the teacup, speaking apologetically. The corner of Madam Prince's mouth flickered with charm yet also with disdain. I even heard Lingxi say that Zhao Hanyan could make Lingxi fall for you. Falling for me is impossible, making her kiss me is just about it. Su Xing said. To think of having a little girl kiss you, you truly are very self-confident? Madam Yi glanced at Su Xing. She was very proud of her daughter. If Madam does not mind, then I shall properly teach her a lesson. If Madam is willing to make a bet, Su Xing thoughtfully asked. I shall wait and see. Madam Prince's reply was neither fiery nor warm. Then that is very good. Su Xing smiled very craftily. When Yi Lingxi came to the drawing room, she caught sight of her mother talking cheerfully with a man for a long while now. This was the first time she had seen her mother smile so happily. Her heart warmed, and at the same time, she could not help but size up that man. That was a very youthful man. His appearance was out of the question handsome beyond compare yet very clean. To describe him as warm was very apt, But any way she looked, that excessively frivolous face of his did not match too well with his steadfastness. This was that man Zhao Hanyan spoke of? Yi Lingxi's heart suddenly had a sort of disdainful and mocking laugh. She honestly was incapable of believing that the man in front of her had any qualifications to be able to have her fancy him. Forcibly suppressing her heart's disdain, Yi Lingxi mockingly said, "So you are the man that Ling Yan Princess Zhao Hanyan spoke of? Hanyan showered praises upon you, but are you not merely mediocre? Yi Lingxi, do not be discourteous." Madame Fu chided her, showing Su Xing an apologetic face. Su Xing looked at Yi Lingxi. She was more icily arrogant than he had imagined, a pair of blue eyes like ice. Although she had concealed it very well, Su Xing could still discern the contempt inside her heart. This sort of contempt was a very good seasoning for defeat. Su Xing reviewed in his heart. Su Xing, have a nice chat with Yi Lingxi. I am very eager to witness our bet. Madame Yi indifferently said. Zhao Hanyan blinked when she heard these words, thinking in her heart, just what is Su Xing planning? Beautiful madam, make ready your preparations. Su Xing's words were very suggestive. If it was any other person speaking like this to her mother, she long would have glowered at them with mutual aggression, but Yi Lingxi did not this time. She merely sneered, full of a sort of, "A rogue like you has designs on my mother," taunting. Laughing to himself, Su Xing looked at Yi Lingxi, from her face, to her swan-like neck down to her tall and straight twin peaks and further down to her slender jade legs. This kind of gaze made Yi Lingxi a bit uncomfortable. She was increasingly certain of the conjecture in her heart. The man before her basically was a ruffian without any sort of ability, capable only of sweet talk and cajolery. No wonder Zhao Hanyan would be tricked into confusion. Actually, his cultivation was very genius at supercluster stage, but she did not know whether his bones were that of a several-hundred-year-old elder. Zhao Hanyan also wrinkled her brow. Su Xing's appearance honestly was too frivolous. Whatever you want to say it quickly. Afterwards, disappear immediately from my sight. I do not wish to waste time on a boring person. Yi Lingxi's tone was disdainful. Yi Lingxi. Even Zhao Hanyan felt that Yi Lingxi's words were a bit overboard. For the sake of waiting until you want to kiss me, never mind this time. In the future, remember that you must be a bit more courteous to others. Su Xing chuckled. Yi Lingxi's eyes widened. Me kiss you? She let out a disdainful jeer. Truly a laughable delusion. I heard that you are a genius, omniscient in Liangshan's knowledge. May I ask you several questions? Su Xing took out a piece of paper. No problem. The Lingdong Countess was considerably self-confident. Taking that piece of paper, upon it were questions that were very easy to the point of being somewhat ridiculous. Does he wish for her to show off her knowledge and wisdom? To other girls, this indeed was a very powerful lure, but to this countess, this truly is boring. Another cup of tea, please. Su Xing signaled to the maid. He sat on the sofa, slowly sipping tea, slowly savoring it. His current manner in Zhao Hanyan's eyes was considerably calm and confident, as if he was completely unworried about the outcome. Time seemed to cease its flow. There was a bang. Regardless of whether or not you are putting on airs, disappear from my sight right now. Yi Lingxi gave her notice to leave. She already loathed this man. To surprisingly speak of having her kiss him? Dream on. Do you feel yourself a genius right now? Much of the knowledge on that is not something an ordinary person can figure out. You solve it. Su Xing leisurely said. Yi Lingxi's arrogant appearance was revealed, no doubt. Su Xing raised an exam paper. Do you feel this world has nothing you can learn? Do you feel I need to learn something? Yi Lingxi spoke very haughtily. Su Xing blossomed with a splendid smile. He ripped apart the white paper, and a flame appeared out of thin air, immediately burning the exam paper into ash. Then I shall teach your talent some knowledge that is impossible to possess. Zhao Hanyan and Yi Lingxi expressed surprise one after the other. Knowledge that is impossible to possess? You speak nonsense. What knowledge does Liangshan continent have that I do not know of? Yi Lingxi sneered. If you feel you have lost, Then in the future, treat people more courteously. Su Xing finally mentioned the subject. So long as you have the ability to make this countess do so. The Lingdong countess was disdainful. Will do. Su Xing said something to Zhao Hanyan, and the latter oddly walked outside. Yi Lingxi locked her brow, baffled. She followed Su Xing to the door. At this moment, Zhao Hanyan walked over and quietly said, Su Xing, the preparations are already finished. Just what are you thinking of doing? Quickly now, do not deceive me. The following test is very simple. I shall have Zhao Hanyan instruct the maid and butler to wait on call where they are. When the time comes, you will have them enter together. The maid and the butler will enter the room at the same time, and we will guess who will be the first to enter the room. That is all. Su Xing said. Yi Lingxi was taken aback, not coming back to her senses. What is the topic of this? If you feel yourself very bright, then speak. The maid and butler are your families, you ought to have a greater advantage over me. This topic is very fair. Su Xing smiled. However, I can tell you beforehand, regardless of how you attempt this topic, you will always fail. If you bluff, what do you think the result would even be? Yi Lingxi scoffed. The butler shall be the first to enter. Then call them into the room yourself. Su Xing shrugged. The butler and maid did not understand, so they walked towards the room together. Yi Lingxi stared at each and every one of their moves. When she saw the maid behind the butler, her heart breathed a sigh of relief. She could not help but cast a mocking expression at Su Xing. Although the butler and maid entered the room together, he very clearly forgotten a fact. That was that a maid's status was far lower than that of a butler's. When the two advanced together, the maid would subconsciously place herself behind the butler. By doing so, there was no question that the butler would be first to enter. Sensing this fact, Zhao Hanyan tightly clenched her fists, praying to herself. However, the butler and the maid's pace did not change at all. When the distance to the threshold was less than half a meter, Zhao Hanyan thoroughly lost hope. Yi Lingxi very much wished to admire this frivolous man's angry expression. However, when what she saw was a nonchalant, tea-sipping countenance, her heart was very furious. Just at the instant the butler was about to be the first to step across the threshold, Su Xing moved the cup away from the corner of his mouth and suddenly said, "Butler, your shoelace is loose." Huh! Having been suddenly given this reminder, the butler first paused. Then, he promptly lowered his head to inspect his shoelaces. He immediately discovered that the boots he wore did not have shoelaces. In that instant he lowered his head, the maid behind the butler thus became the first to walk through the door. This surprise turnaround suddenly made the two girls dumbstruck. "I do not have shoelaces," the butler deferentially said. The corner of Yi Lingxi's mouth twitched. How she wished to blow her top. "Oh, I was mistaken. You are dismissed," Su Xing apologetically said. "Oh." When the butler and maid saw the unsightly expression of their young lady, they were baffled, but they knew now was not the time for them to trouble her. When they left her line of sight, Yi Lingxi's fury immediately exploded. She roared, "You cheat! How could you play such a trick?" "Did I say I couldn't?" Su Xing innocently shrugged. Yi Lingxi was speechless. Indeed, he had only said to guess who would be first to enter, and he did not set a rule at all about not speaking. However, any way she thought about it, Yi Lingxi felt she had been played with. She indignantly said, "If it was not for you speaking, then I would not have guessed wrongly at all. Now that you feel that what you have learned is not enough, have you started being tsundere?" Su Xing coldly said, "This is a dirty trick, I do not concede." Yi Lingxi ground her teeth. "Fine, I will have you completely won over. Again, but this time, neither of us can say anything. How about it?" "No problem." Yi Lingxi was confident that if he had not spoken to delay the butler's pace, the victor right now would have been her. Su Xing calmly continued to drink tea amidst the chaos. This time, the butler and maid appeared to advance the same way as before, the maid still behind the butler. "You cannot speak, let me see how you will manage this." Yi Lingxi smirked in her heart. Su Xing raised the cup at Yi Lingxi with a slight smile upon his face. This sort of smile that was full of confidence made Yi Lingxi exceptionally angry. Why was this man so confident? Zhao Hanyan had been left very dumbfounded by Su Xing's actions. Asking Dong Junqing, the steadfast star also did not understand. Although using a bet to humiliate the other party was not a bad method, the problem was that you needed a certain chance of victory. Now it appeared that Su Xing's current way of doing things was somewhat baffling. She completely did not know what medicine he was selling inside his gourd. 8. Especially now, what should Su Xing do? Zhao Hanyan was very curious. Could it be he actually could make a reversal like this? Just at this moment, Su Xing smiled, and he made a movement that made the countess and princess dumbstruck again. Su Xing's hand loosened, and the cup fell to the floor. An unimaginable scene occurred. After the cup fell, the maid suddenly quickened her pace, her speed exceeding the butler's. She rushed into the room, hastily stooped down, and brought out a towel to dry the floor, promptly apologizing to Su Xing. Yilingxi was thoroughly stupefied. This man, Zhao Hanyan, was speechless. Su Xing showed the maid a tender smile. The maid's face reddened, excusing herself after taking the cup. At this moment, Yilingxi finally regained her senses. She tightly bit her lip, very angry yet also extremely dejected. Su Xing indeed followed the rules and did not speak, but he deliberately dropped the cup onto the rug. By doing so, the maid's duty and instinct would urge her to rush over and clean up. Very naturally, she would enter ahead of the butler. Everything he had completely exploited a person's psychology. Why, you despicable, shameless cheat, from the very beginning, it was impossible for me to win. This test is not fair. Yilingxi very much wanted to curse him. She had never felt she would lose with a feeling so full of humiliation. Su Xing disdainfully evaluated her. The contents of today's class are that wisdom is everywhere, yet fairness will never exist. How does this count as wisdom? This is petty. Yilingxi did not accept this. To be able to make the you that is so full of wisdom taste defeat, you can still learn this sort of pettiness. Su Xing disagreed. Yilingxi was truly about to explode. Even if she was very adept at faking her mood, this time, she had no way to feign. Seeing her unreconciled appearance, Su Xing intentionally sighed, his tone slightly warm. I am only exploiting the person's psychological behavior, controlling the opposition's unconscious thoughts. I call it psychology, knowledge that this world does not have. Controlling unconscious thoughts? You were merely lucky this time. Yilingxi stubbornly refuted. You do not believe me? Do you believe that I can manipulate your mama into kissing me? Su Xing indolently said. Hey, does this man truly treat himself as a Casanova? Zhao Hanyan's expression cast out an admonishment. Yilingxi widened her eyes, loudly shouting, You are talking nonsense. On what basis would my mama kiss you? If you do not believe me, that is up to you, but I indeed had your maid enter the door first twice. On this you lose. Zhao Hanyan is a witness. Fine, we shall stop here. Su Xing already did not wish to tangle with her any further. To be frank, Zhao Hanyan until now did not understand just what trick Su Xing had in store. She was unable to connect this topic with a kiss. Yilingxi had unwillingness written on her face. Su Xing wrinkled his brow, his tone a bit displeased. What, could it be you actually want to make your mama kiss me that you do not believe me? Yilingxi's eyes immediately let out a frightening light. If you have the capabilities to do so, then I will believe you. How could any daughter incite someone to kiss her own mama? You are completely unable to do so. What psychology? I have never heard of it, swindler. Do not think you can bewitch this princess, bastard. Yilingxi finally seized onto her chance. If you want me, I can do it. Su Xing looked at Yilingxi's red lips and chuckled. However, you nevertheless must pay the price. This world does not have such a happy thing where someone does something just because you make them. What would you have me do? Yilingxi was wary. Su Xing winked. A kiss. Shameless. Yilingxi suddenly recalled the kiss Su Xing mentioned at the very beginning, and her expression was all of a sudden more unsightly. Then you can obediently concede defeat. Su Xing rose, an indifferent attitude. Shameless, shameless, shameless. Shameless. Yi Lingxi cursed 100 times in her heart. This bastard basically had everything planned out. But to make her concede defeat like this, Yi Lingxi's heart honestly was not too willing. Even when she was facing Emperor Liang, Yi Lingxi could wriggle with some leeway, but tonight, her arrogance had been ruthlessly trampled. Yi Lingxi, forget it. Zhao Hanyan was slightly sympathetic to her. Fine. I shall treat it as having been bitten by a mosquito. Yi Lingxi grit her teeth, making her determination and walking to Su Xing's front. To be kissed by a mosquito as beautiful as you, I am very happy. Su Xing could not help but smile. This man definitely is bluffing. Yi Lingxi was increasingly certain. She closed her eyes and stood on tiptoes. Su Xing actually was courteous, only making Yi Lingxi use her soft red lips kiss his cheek. The Zhao Hanyan to the side widened her eyes. Suddenly she recalled something. It cannot be, those two tricks just now were for the sake of this. The Ling Yan princess thoughts were bright, immediately recalling Su Xing's reason for everything. Just as Su Xing had said, to be able to make the other party fall in love or kiss him at first sight was a fantasy story. It was precisely because of this that Su Xing took a different route, walking along a means that no one had thought of. This was a bet. In a gambler's game, what could be more interesting than this? As far as the arrogant Yi Lingxi was concerned, when she agreed to Su Xing's two topics, she voluntarily had come to this. How honestly cunning of him, to unexpectedly little by little begin to have plans for her, the Lingdong Countess. However, Zhao Hanyan had one thing she still did not understand. How could he make Madame Yi kiss him? Thinking of this, Madame Prince would not be so frivolous. Her lips had not touched for more than a second when Yi Lingxi's kiss immediately ended. This instant, the girl's cheeks were a thorough red. She was slightly crying yet shed no tears. This was but her first kiss, to have unexpectedly sent it away so disgracefully. Go to it now. If you cannot do so, this countess will not let you go. Yi Lingxi hatefully said. Yi Lingxi, you brought this upon yourself, yet you still wish to threaten him? Zhao Hanyan sneered very bluntly. Su Xing twitched his lips. Madam, you can come out now. Lingxi. Madame Prince walked out from the room, incomparably shocked. She had seen everything just now. Mother. Yi Lingxi's ears burned. She stubbornly said, he is a shameless pervert that wants you to kiss him. You absolutely cannot be deceived by him. Lingxi, Mama was wrong in the past. You truly have much more to learn. Madame Prince sighed. You have been unconsciously controlled by him, do you realize? Mother Highness, what are you saying? Yi Lingxi was at a loss. Madame Prince, will you comply with our promise? Su Xing chucked. The two girls smelled a hint of conspiracy. Madame Prince leisurely walked to Su Xing's side. Her stature was very tall, fully taller than Su Xing by a head. She whispered, you shameless pervert, I have never seen anyone more evil than you. No wonder the Ling Yan princess would hold you in such high regard. After she spoke, Madame Prince lowered her head and deep-kissed Su Xing by the lips. The Madame Ye's kiss brought a much more mature and lovely flavor. Yi Lingxi and Zhao Hanyan were completely shocked by the scene in front of them. Su Xing felt his lips. This Madame Yi honestly was sexy, surprisingly kissing his lips. It seemed he still was too pure. Mother, what are you doing? Yi Lingxi screeched. She truly was almost mad. How could her dignified and cold mother unexpectedly actually deep-kiss that bastard? Passing through the moistness of a kiss, the feeling of charm at the corner of Madame Ye's eyes was even more extreme. Mama made a bet with him. The course of events was this. While the two chatted in the lounge, Su Xing and Madame Yi made a bet. Su Xing said he would make Yi Lingxi personally kiss him. Of course, Madame Yi would not believe him. How could she not understand her own daughter's personality? Let alone this man, even when she stood before her father, the prince himself, Yi Lingxi never changed her face. Madame Yi was very doubtful her daughter's interests were very special. Subsequently, she very quickly accepted this bet. The bet was that you would kiss him. Yi Lingxi was in disbelief. Yi Lingxi, The Ling Yen princess man is certainly a dangerous character. Madame Yi pursed her lips, her eyes showing a bit of interest. Yi Lingxi grabbed a tea kettle and hurled it at Su Xing. You are a complete cheat. Bastard, bastard. Yi Lingxi was not a fool. She immediately understood everything. She even thought of the hints in Su Xing's language that lured her into kissing him. It could be said that from the beginning of the moment she entered the room, she was already like a lamb that had fallen into a trap. What was laughable was that she still did not perceive it. Su Xing glanced at Zhao Hanyan. The Ling Yen princess looked at the Lingdong countess' sunken heart with some sympathy. Madame Yi, Han Yan apologizes on behalf of Su Xing to little sister and the madam. Zhao Han Yan apologetically said, to be able to make Lingxi suffer a small lesson, it is worth the price. Madame Yi was very magnanimous. She gazed at Su Xing, her attitude not like that disdain from the beginning. The Ling Yen princess' eyesight is indeed extraordinary. I wonder from which sect and master you hail from? Your servant is a disciple of Ju Yueka of the Four Styles School. Ju Yueka? That tool refining sect master. As expected, you are talented, young and promising. Zhao Hanyan has other matters and shall take her leave. Thus, they left Prince Xinwu's mansion. Where did you learn that psychology thing? This princess has never heard of it. This princess is truly interested, for it to surprisingly be capable of trapping the Lingdong countess. Zhao Hanyan smiled. Zhao Hanyan, don't change the topic. Did you forget our bet? Su Xing was stern. Dong Junqing thoughtfully said, do you wish to take advantage of even the Ling Yen princess? Forget it, just treat it as your birthday present then. Su Xing chuckled. Zhao Hanyan suddenly flew in front of Su Xing. Both of her arms boldly wrapped around Su Xing's neck, and her red lips stuck to his, wrapping her tongue around his as they exchanged saliva. Dong Junqing watched from the side with endless jealousy. The pair passionately deep-kissed and embraced. Originally, their hearts had been planted with the 1,000-year intertwined branches. This kiss was simply a first rain after a long drought, as if they were sucking away each other's energy. Zhao Hanyan suddenly moaned, lowered her head to look down, and her face turned completely red. She saw that her jacket was wide open. One of Su Xing's hands had surprisingly climbed onto her underwear, softly kneading her breasts. The girl was surprised and pushed Su Xing away. Her arms covered her chest and her brows rose. Su Xing, you are so audacious. And what haven't I already seen of your body? Su Xing shook his head. These words made Zhao Hanyan want to silence him for good. No more kidding. If there is nothing else right now, then I should go. Su Xing said. Su Xing, you honestly do not give this princess a single bit of face. Zhao Hanyan harumphed. Where do you want to go? The Black Turtle Territory. Perfect, let us go together. Zhao Hanyan nodded. Together? Su Xing did not understand why the Ling Yen princess would be so interested in tangling herself with him. Could it be she truly fancied him? Do you not have the Purple Star Outlaw Liangshan Jade Pendant? How many Immortals' abodes have you opened? 1. Then good. The Purple Star Jade Pendant can open 3 Immortals' abodes. Each one opened will possess a precious treasure. If this treasure is taken to the treasure feast, then the value will be priceless. However, the distances must be very far apart. This second Immortal's abode will require going to the Black Turtle Territory in order to be opened. We can just so happen go together. Zhao Hanyan's beautiful eyes glittered, and her beautiful smile curved. Su Xing's brows wrinkled. What? Do you want to decline this princess' good intentions again? Zhao Hanyan's face suddenly paled. Liked it? Going together is exactly what I've been looking for. I just so happen to be not too clear on the Black Turtle Territory. Su Xing smiled. Only then did Zhao Hanyan's expression warm up. However, this princess actually is not very clear either. Right? Is that Lingdong Countess a Star Master? Su Xing suddenly remembered this question. Since she liked competing against Zhao Hanyan, could it be she was a Star Master? She is not a Star Master. Zhao Hanyan pursed her lips. But perhaps her elder brother is. Seeing Su Xing was very interested, Zhao Hanyan said, Yi Lingxi's elder brother Yi Fudu is also a very interesting person. What do you mean? He was a genius in the study of martial arts ever since he was little. Originally, his name was Yi Tianxi, too, and he obtained Prince Shenwu's divine sword and other inheritances. Afterwards, he nearly died from his obsession with training. After he awoke, his cultivation had deteriorated into a cripple's. Thus, he changed his name to Yi Fudu. Afterwards, this princess heard he was silent for a very long time. After the star duels began, rumor had it that he had possibly already signed a star duel covenant, because a star duel covenant can make anyone become a star cultivator. Yi Fudu perhaps wants to make a comeback. You had best be on guard about him. Zhao Hanyan faintly said. Su Xing nodded. In the case a person who had passed through life and death and fell from grace received an opportunity to change his fortunes, indeed they would be a frightening opponent. Do you know about his star general? Su Xing asked. Yi Fudu all along has not yet shown his face. This princess has only heard this from Yi Lingxi. Zhao Hanyan shook her head. Wrapping himself in mystery, it seems he should have some capital. Su Xing smiled. Hanyan, just how many more star masters does your great Liang dynasty have? Might as well just tell me. According to what this princess knows, there are only 4, myself, Zhao Heng, Prince Feng Wu's Gong Kai Wei, Prince Shen Wu's Yi Fudu. Originally, this princess' third brother was also, however, he was too inferior and has already lost the qualifications. There is another prince? Not all the princes would be willing to send their own daughters into the star duels. Zhao Hanyan harumphed. From the way you say it, Emperor Liang is actually very courageous. Su Xing praised. The eldest princess and second crown prince each participating in the star duels honestly was no small matter. Zhao Hanyan's expression mockingly looked at Su Xing, glancing at him from head to foot, her eyes brightly glittered. That said, your cultivation actually progressed very quickly, unexpectedly already reaching supercluster stage? Did you have some happy encounter? Zhao Hanyan's brows rose. Thinking back to when she originally saw Su Xing, their cultivations were but separated by several levels. Now, Su Xing had already nearly caught up to her. This truly was unbelievable. Contracting 8 star generals, Su Xing actually felt this cultivation still counted as slow. Hanyan, you surprisingly already reached the peak of supercluster middle stage, which is also rather formidable. Zhao Hanyan softly harumphed. To have her current cultivation with a prehistoric spirit treasure the likes of the purple smoke confusing sky lantern, even if she had this, she was about to be overtaken by Su Xing. However, the Lingyan princess did not carefully delve into thinking about this too much. Now that the third phase was already about to conclude, according to the conventions of the previous star duels, after Evil Smiting Hall passed, Star Masters' cultivations would all advance by leaps and bounds. Before the fourth phase commenced, next was the time for Star Masters to exhaust all possible means to advance their cultivations. Never mind, you seem to have so many star generals. You are an anomaly. This princess is disinclined to think about it. Su Xing said. Let's go to the Black Turtle territory right now. Time is already short. Oppressive footsteps resounded in the dark space. Great Saint Starkiller walked past the black corridor, his expression very grave. Great Blade Guan Ying followed behind him, her expression also very grim. Lining the passage, the dark purple torches lengthened the pair's shadows, appearing on the wall like demons bearing their fangs. It was as if every detail of the passageway was full of evil and insolence. The pair walked to a gate. The man guarding the gate coldly glanced at them. His cultivation had surprisingly reached Supervoid stage. The Grand Supervoid cultivator unexpectedly watching over the gate made the atmosphere appear even more heavy. The main hall was a space full of purple fire. Gorgeous scripts decorated the entire room from top to bottom. These scripts were arranged according to some sort of pattern. Several meter-wide black chains were very conspicuous, just like a pitch-black python extending straight to the very top of the main hall, to a platform sheltered by a black canopy. Upon closer inspection, one would notice that the giant chains currently trapped a figure. The wide chains made that figure appear somewhat stooped. 2 men and 2 women stood beneath the platform, each emitting an aura that would make one feel ice-cold to the bone, as if they would shudder with just a glance from them. These 4 had cultivations that were super void middle stage and above. Devil Ancestor. 3 Great Saint Starkiller reverently said. To be able to have so many super void cultivators stand guard across all of the Black Turtle territory, there was only one capable of doing so, the Black Turtle territory's first devil. Reportedly, he already comprehended the peak of super void, the Devil Ancestor Black Underworld entering transforming Star of Annihilation Guan Ying was expressionless. Star Generals never showed more respect to anyone beside their own contractor, let alone that she was the brave star. Great Saint Starkiller, this ancestor wishes to speak to you alone. From behind the canopy came an aged voice. Great Saint Starkiller listened. He glanced at Guan Ying. Guan Ying snorted, her expression not at all happy. She turned around and left the main hall. In her heart, she actually did not wish to see the thing coming next that would make her feel ashamed. Fancy that the one who is the chief of the 5 Tiger Generals, the one with a 4-star destined weapon, would unexpectedly be slain. What are you doing still acting arrogant here? Truly you make people upset. The 4 Supervoid cultivators coldly said. Great Saint Starkiller did not dare quibble. Only after she left did the Devil Ancestor Black Underworld say, This ancestor hears you suffered defeat in Evil Smiting Hall. His voice was very soft, but the feeling within made Great Saint Starkiller have a sort of powerful pressure. Great Saint Starkiller broke into a cold sweat and lowered his head. It was your servant's fault. Your servant did not anticipate the Harm Star would unexpectedly have a Star Master and even reach the Heaven-Earth Dark Yellow Realm. There was soft laughter, somewhat inquisitive. Great Saint Starkiller knelt on the ground, in fear and trepidation. Your servant requests Devil Ancestor for atonement. Next time your servant encounters that man, your servant definitely will take revenge and wipe out this grudge. This ancestor has exhausted everything to nurture you, for the sake of allowing you to become the chief of the Star Duels. No one in Liangshan continent can contend with you, but you nevertheless were defeated, making this ancestor somewhat surprised. Could it be that this ancestor has treated you too unkindly? Is this what you believe? Great Saint Starkiller? Devil Ancestor is kind. Your servant has undying gratitude. Even if your servant must work like an ox, work like a horse, your servant will repay Devil Ancestor endlessly. Great Saint Starkiller promptly made clear his mind. The Devil Star Palace has nurtured you for the purpose of obtaining the overlordship of these star duels. This is not a request. It is a requirement. From the beginning of the star duels, you must far surpass all other opponents. This is the dream of the Devil Star Palace, but you unexpectedly were killed out of Evil Smiting Hall by someone else. What else should this ancestor say? There absolutely will not be a next time. Your servant asks Devil Ancestor to be at ease. Great Saint Starkiller solemnly vowed. This ancestor does not need this kind of flower in a mirror, moon reflected in a lake roundabout promise. Fei's Devil Ancestor Black Underworld's voice was serene as a dagger. Ming Dai, 6, give that thing to him. As you command. A graceful woman bound in black nodded and daintily advanced. In her palm was a black stone, like a multitude of glittering stars yet emitting a fiendish devil chi. Even with Great Saint Starkiller's current supercluster stage cultivation, he felt it was very unbearable. This is the 9 Nether Devil Star Stone. 7. Have your Star General forge it into her star weapon. Devil Ancestor Black Underworld said. 9 Nether Devil Star Stone. Great Saint Starkiller's pupils shrunk. The 9 Nether Devil Star Stone could be said to be the divine item of the Black Turtle Territory's devil cults. Weapons with the 9 Nether Devil Star Stone forged into them could render targets that were cut down in so much pain they would wish they were dead, suffering every possible torment. Afterwards, they would become supreme resentment, and the user could absorb this power and become even stronger. However, the 9 Nether Devil Star Stone at present was clearly different. If this was used to kill a star general, the more star generals the star weapon kills, the more powerful the star general's destined star weapon will become, even being able to be placed above an upgraded star weapon. Ming Dai explained. Great Saint Starkiller was delighted. Was this not saying that in the future, when Guan Ying killed a star general, she could simultaneously upgrade her star weapon? This practically was super defiant of the natural order. Many thanks, Devil Ancestor. Suddenly, Great Saint Starkiller's expression was somewhat hesitant, but Guan Ying's personality is unyielding. Your servant does not know if she would use this Devil Star Stone. The 9 Nether Devil Star Stone would make the slain opponent suffer worldly pain. As far as the righteous and strict Brave Star was concerned, perhaps it was hard to accept. Ridiculous! How could the Grand Star Generals still be able to retain some benevolence? Ming Dai rebuked. If she does not dare abide, you just use command enforcement. By the time Guan Sheng tastes the power of the 9 Nether Devil Star Palace, she naturally will know that no one in this generation's star duels is her opponent. Hearing the woman's displeasure, Great Saint Starkiller hastily nodded in acknowledgement. Great Saint Starkiller, you are dismissed for now. Properly go prepare for the coming Black Nether Temple. 9. As you command, disciple takes his leave. After Great Saint Starkiller left, Ming Dai turned her head back, saying, Devil Ancestor, although this brave star is the chief of the 5 Tiger Generals, that personality honestly does not possess the disposition for ruthlessness. As Ming Dai sees it, that Guan Ying is perhaps disloyal. Is this not even better? Seeing the renowned brave star raised into a killing tool for our devil sect, the Liangshan maiden's expression must be very marvelous. Another man softly spoke. Enough. You all may also take your leave. This ancestor is tired. Devil Ancestor Black Underworld calmly said. By your will. Su Xing and Zhao Hanyan flew towards the limits of the sea together. This flight was non-stop for 7 days and 7 nights. Different from the Azure Dragon Territory's fertile lads, the Black Turtle Territory's greatest characteristic was the extreme number of bodies of water. Various kinds of islands stood in great numbers. Its topography was broken up by the seas and islands into an extreme mess. It was for this reason that the absolutes in Liangshan continent's powerful aquatic demon beasts dwelled in the Black Turtle Territory's deep seas. The Black Turtle Territory's ley lines were far from as prosperous as the Azure Dragon Territories. For this reason, cultivators here trained exploiting the blood, bone, and even the organs and demon pellet of demon beasts. Demon pellets and the like were very common in the Black Turtle Territory, and it was because of this that the Black Turtle Territory's devil cults were extremely prosperous. Passing by every sort of crisis on the limitless sea, Su Xing and Zhao Hanyan finally saw the outer sea of the Black Turtle Territory. Cross Island. 11. The island's entirety was shaped like a cross, thus it got its name. On the islands were scattered dozens of homes of island dwellers. This was the first checkpoint island for those of the Azure Dragon Territory entering the Black Turtle Territory. After entering these grounds, that cross island's topography pointed in the 4 directions, making clear the 4 directions that cultivators could thoroughly enter the Black Turtle Territory. Continuously flying a course of 7 days and 7 nights, Su Xing and Zhao Hanyan were extremely exhausted. They were in urgent need of replenishment of their spiritual powers. Cross Island just so happened to have a weak ley line. Su Xing and Zhao Hanyan glanced at each other, and then they descended towards the island with tacit understanding. Su Xing and Zhao Hanyan circled around the island. As a checkpoint, this place still had many cultivators constructing a marketplace for transactions. Generally speaking, this was an exchange for information and such. At last, following someone's introduction, Su Xing and Zhao Hanyan arrived at a hillside restaurant named the Peace and Happiness Inn. The Peace and Happiness Inn's restaurant had many cultivators entering and leaving. Having continuously flown for so long, Su Xing and Zhao Hanyan felt very tired. Entering, they sat at a table. Su Xing assessed the restaurant's interior. It was considerably clean, and many cultivators selected some food and wine to gorge themselves on, chatting spiritedly. Although the cultivators had already reached a realm of abstaining from food, the majority of cultivators still were incapable of escaping their hunger. Su Xing originally wanted to simply listen and gather whatever information he could. However, he found that what these cultivators discussed was relatively boring, with no juicy topics at all. Rumors of the star duels or the Black Turtle territory were pitifully sparse, yet after Su Xing and Zhao Hanyan stepped into the restaurant, the other cultivators cast considerably fearful glances at them. It was no wonder, for any way it was put, two supercluster ancestors appearing was enough to make people feel they were confronting a powerful foe. But what was even more present in the eyes of these cultivators was envy. Su Xing did not mind. "Are you two guests stopping for a meal or staying the night?" A lithe-bodied woman daintily walked over, her expression gazing at Su Xing with much allure, making Zhao Hanyan quite unhappy. Zhao Hanyan frowned. "Is this a restaurant or a brothel?" The woman retracted her charm and showed an unsightly expression. "Choose some random wine and meat. While you are at it, book 2 rooms." Zhao Hanyan saw that the time of day was already very late, and she did not wish to hasten on their journey. Su Xing did not object. "All right then, the arrangements will be made immediately." The woman's smile was somewhat charming, especially that slender waist that made men drool with desire. "Are the women of the Black Turtle territory all so formidable?" Su Xing could not help but follow her with his gaze. Although the woman meticulously hid her cultivation, using seeing clearly, she actually was a surprising supercluster stage. "Perhaps she has practiced some devil arts, be on your guard," Zhao Hanyan warned. Thereupon, she said, "The Black Turtle territory's devil cults are myriad, especially with the over-exaggerated influence of the Devil Star Palace. You had best be careful not to expose your identity as a Star Master." Su Xing naturally understood. The Devil Star Palace was renowned as the Black Turtle territory's #1 Devil Palace. Under its wing was the Star Master, Great Saint Starkiller. If their identities as Star Masters were discovered, perhaps these devil cult disciples would be like a gangrenous maggot that allowed them no peace of mind. However, the Black Turtle territory's Black Turtle Sea has millions of islets, which are actually good places for cultivation. Zhao Hanyan said, "What place should we choose for our immortals' abodes?" Su Xing asked her. Zhao Hanyan already had plans. She thought for a moment, "We have only just entered the Black Turtle territory just now. If we quicken our speed, we can arrive in 10 days. However, the prerequisite is that we cannot allow anyone to sense our attempt. Otherwise, we definitely will be thwarted and things will be troublesome then." Su Xing also understood this point, so the two concealed their identities, not revealing their star generals to the public. This road still required flights across sea after sea. Along the way, they perhaps would encounter some demon beasts. If they delayed like this, 10 days perhaps would not work. Su Xing wrinkled his brow. A half-month's time seemed completely insufficient. "What, you seem very anxious." Zhao Hanyan felt this was strange. "There's some things." Su Xing nodded, not wishing to speak more. "If you encounter trouble, just tell this princess. Do not forget that you and I are bound by the 1,000-year intertwined branches. This princess certainly does not wish to encounter a crisis and idle absolutely ignorantly." Zhao Hanyan warned. Su Xing smiled. These words made him feel comfort in his heart, but to tell her the truth? To have her become enemies with Maiden Mountain? Su Xing felt it was better to not implicate her. "I have my own propriety." Zhao Hanyan understood Su Xing's personality. She nodded silently. Very quickly, the mistress sent the wine and food over, along with an additional bottle of fine liquor. "Your servant is this place's lady boss, Mainyang. Just now, your servant took bold liberties with the two guests. This is a bit of Mainyang's generosity." Mainyang's person was charming as her name. She had a flattering smile, bright brows that were quite alluring, as if she was born of the heavens. Zhao Hanyan disliked her licentious attitude, but since the other person's smiling face expressed her apology, the Lingyan princess could not easily say anything. She merely silently nodded. "Your servant is busy. Both of you, do not hesitate to command your servant." Mainyang shall first go to prepare your beds. Mainyang smiled. Then thanks. Mainyang ascended the building not at all to go prepare their beds, but instead she walked past a corridor, arriving at a private booth on the second floor. That flattering smile concealed a slightly aroused killing intent. Dear husband, what about those two? Inside the room sat an immaculate and handsome black-clothed man. Parting the curtain to glance at Su Xing and Zhao Hanyan, seeing the woman enter, the man smiled. Mainyang, what do you feel? To be supercluster cultivation at such a young age, if they were not star masters, then they are world-shocking geniuses. Mainyang said, regardless of whichever one, tonight they will become our meal, will they not? The man smiled. Dear husband has but truly planned everything. That woman is quite shrewish. Perhaps eating her will not be that easy. Mainyang sat on a chair, her snow-white thigh exposed from that part in her qipao. It seems those things that we collected can now be put to good use. The man nodded, imposing. Mainyang's eyes amorously rolled about. Dear husband, do you truly plan to use that? I feel that woman will be exceptionally delectable. The man licked his lips, grinning widely. Mainyang feigned jealousy. That man is quite elegant. Mainyang certainly will not be modest. Do not hesitate to go do it. Right, the nest-stifling powder, too, is ready for use. The man reminded. Mainyang's smile drove all things mad. She walked over and used both her hands to rest the man's head within her plump chest. Mainyang has already done so. Su Xing opened the door and sized up the room. The room was decorated actually very exquisitely. There was a large bed with carvings, a tiger-patterned desk and chair, and on the desk were lit some dim candles. The room was very clean. This princess shall sleep first. Zhao Hanyan yawned, somewhat exhausted. She immediately waked to the adjacent room and shut the door. Continuing to rush, Su Xing was quite beat. Sitting on the soft bed, a feeling of weariness suddenly attacked him. Little Huang? Su Xing called several times, finding that there was no response from inside the star nest. Most probably, 7 days of rushing had tired them out. Along the way, they encountered many 10th-rank demon beasts, which was exhausting. Su Xing smiled and he disturbed them no more. However, just in case, Su Xing still set down a forbid dance inside the room. Only then did he lower his head to sleep. In his dream, Su Xing had a very savory wet dream. He dreamed that he and Zhao Hanyan waged a great war absolutely naked on their flying swords. The Ling Yan princess appeared to have unprecedented passion, endlessly seeking him. Suddenly Zhao Hanyan's amorous and rippling beauty became the appearance of the peace and happiness in's owner, Mainyang. The woman's thighs clamped around him tightly, and a powerful feeling of bliss seemed to wash over Su Xing like a tide. Su Xing only felt that all of the star energy in his whole body was seemingly sucked away like passing river water. The happy feeling reached an unbearable discomfort. Su Xing suddenly opened his eyes. In his face, he saw a woman seemingly alluring from head to toe. She currently straddled upon Su Xing's body, her hands gently caressing Su Xing's chest. She was indeed the peace and happiness inn's proprietress, Mainyang. Can't move. Su Xing suddenly noticed that his hands and feet were incapable of budging, and there was currently a bizarre feeling of ecstasy surging through his blood, as if it was about to break out of his body. This feeling was very uncomfortable. Su Xing activated the soul technique. Mainyang kissed Su Xing, her tone intimate, "Little dearest, don't struggle. Obediently engage Mainyang tonight." Impossible. Su Xing was shocked to find his immediate use of the absolute sincerity soul technique was incapable of suppressing the desire exploding in his body. "What did you do to me?" Su Xing said with difficulty. Outstanding as expected, to unexpectedly suppress the charm fire of the 7 emotions 6 desires spice? Mainyang licked her lips. Her hand felt the raging blood in Su Xing's body, rubbing her legs together. Suddenly, Mainyang lowered her head, gazing directly at Su Xing. Her expression was just like a bottomless pit, full of allure. "Little dearest, obediently enjoy ecstasy with Mainyang." Su Xing was currently using all his power to circulate the absolute sincerity soul technique. Mainyang suddenly opened her mouth, and a kind of powerful sucking force immediately made Su Xing unable to help but open his mouth as well. Then, his essence qi immediately flowed out from his body. Like a deflated balloon, Su Xing only felt weak. Not good. This woman feasts on essence qi. Su Xing was inwardly shocked. This woman used some unknown magic to surprisingly convert his whole body's magic energy into essence qi. Then she sucked it away. Su Xing promptly used the absolute sincerity soul technique to suppress the hormones in his body. Only by doing this could he resist. Absorbing for several dozen seconds, Mainyang felt very dissatisfied. She looked at Su Xing without that charm from before. It seems you have some ability. However, this 7 feelings 6 desires spice was refined using 10,000-year-in milk. 3. No one in the world can resist it. 10,000-year-in milk, Su Xing inwardly shouted that he was out of luck. 10,000-year-in milk was a milk obtained from a type of demon beast that dwelled in the ocean depths. It was a kind of supreme yin-inducing medicine. And Suan required 3 types of medicine materials too in order to refine the yin-yang lovemaking powder. They were divided into Supreme Yang, Supreme Yin, and the middleness. Su Xing knew a bit, and in the case this kind of 10,000-year-in milk was absorbed into the body, even a saint was incapable of breaking free. Su Xing thought that the candles on that table had it secretly refined within. He never would have anticipated that the woman in front of him would surprisingly have this sort of item so defiant of the natural order. Su Xing did his utmost to circulate the soul technique to it. Mainyang charmingly smiled. She suddenly lowered her head and kissed Su Xing. This kiss immediately made the soul technique collapse. Violent desire once again surged. Through her lips and tongue, Mainyang began to wantonly absorb the essence qi in Su Xing's body. Under this sort of speed, he absolutely would be sucked dry as a kernel. Su Xing did not expect to encounter this sort of thing. Secretly, he called out for Yan Yizhen and Gong Sun Huang inside the star nest, only to discover his connection with them was severed. There was a complete lack of response. This peace and happiness in clearly was a murder in. Everything had been arranged perfectly. In order to make Su Xing's lust erupt, Mainyang undid each of their clothes, exposing her impressive figure. That ample bosom continuously rubbed against him, and those small and exquisite cherries were long already incomparably hard, little by little crumbling down Su Xing's resistance. Mainyang's hands were not idle either. One went downwards, feeling between Su Xing's thighs, playing with it. 6. Su Xing groaned, somewhat unable to persist. The 7 feelings 6 desires spice inherently was unexcelled in inducing lust, and being fondled so maddeningly by Mainyang like this was adding grease to the fire. Su Xing only felt his whole body seem to burn like fire. Su Xing forcefully composed himself, once again using the meditative mind lotus flower, resisting the charm magic by means of Buddhism. Mainyang's supple tongue wound around his for a while. She then noticed that the essence qi was increasingly a trickle, and she felt great disbelief. Ordinarily, even if she was facing a supercluster cultivator, so long as they opened their mouth, she could easily absorb their essence qi. Not only was she unable to tonight, winding their lips and tongues together was somewhat lacking in force. Sure enough, he was a star master. Mainyang's eyes glinted, and she continued her fervent kiss. Su Xing's face was solemn, like a Buddha's, making Mainyang very disgusted. Let us see just how long you can pretend. Even Buddha would die from excessive ejaculation under this lady's soul allure. 7. Mainyang once again kissed Su Xing, but Su Xing did not react at all, like a wooden dummy. Mainyang was impatient. She lay down on Su Xing's pants. His lower body clearly was already a sky-supporting pillar, yet he could still preserve his essence qi. This honestly was unbelievable. This lady today will specially service you. Saying this, Mainyang's cherry lips parted, and she took Su Xing's thing into her mouth. 8. From that warm orifice came a provocation more terrifying than a kiss or caress. Mainyang's tongue lapped across like a nimble snake, and she began to absorb essence qi. powerful essence qi immediately was released from little Su Xing. Mainyang's complexion was pink, her deep valley moist, her heart delighted. She promptly bit, even more intimately. His clear will suddenly disintegrated. Su Xing understood that today he had met the crisis of the sucking queen. The hard little Su Xing was wrapped up by her warm mouth, and Su Xing's whole body was completely unable to budge. Gritting his teeth, he suddenly thought of dual cultivation magic. In a moment of desperation, he used the Dharma happiness chan of the meditative mind lotus flower to deeply dual cultivate, beginning to use full power to activate the dual cultivation magic. The Mainyang that was currently lapping up his fluids suddenly felt that the essence qi she was absorbing once again endlessly be sucked back by some sort of suction. Not only this, even her own primordial yin qi began to be absorbed. Mainyang was greatly shocked. She hastily activated at full power her dark rank star magic, Soul Allure. In order to make Su Xing's lust take even greater control of him, her hands continuously tantalized Su Xing's whole body, and she even used her breast to rub against little Su Xing. 6. It could even said she exhausted all possible means. She nearly fed the tiger using her own body. The two were in the middle of launching an invisible yet fierce war, their essence qi pulled back and forth. The feeling of pleasure truly was unprecedented. Mainyang's thighs long already were violently flooded, drenching the bed into a vast ocean. However, Su Xing was completely not controlling his lust. He was merely exploiting the magic of dual cultivation, absorbing back whatever Mainyang sucked away. By doing so, the woman seemed to be only serving Su Xing while Mainyang only felt great exhaustion. Following the progression of dual cultivation, the 7 feelings 6 desires spice was increasingly weak. Su Xing sensed that his body was already able to move. Fearing that Zhao Hanyan would have trouble, Su Xing immediately increased the soul technique. Golden lotuses sprouted in the air, sprinkling a Buddhist light. Ah! An endless intensity suddenly surged into Mainyang's throat, yet the woman absorbed everything without shedding a tear as she nearly choked. Tenhei. After the orgasm passed, Su Xing's body suddenly recovered its freedom. He rose and attacked with a palm. The woman hastily dodged, some milky white liquid still at the side of her lips. In Mainyang's eyes was extreme humiliation, and her expression suddenly changed. Zhang Qing. 11. Her body was in pain as she let out a groan, for she was struck down to the lower floor by Su Xing's palm. At the same time, a man's scream came from inside Zhao Hanyan's room. Not good. Su Xing no longer minded her, immediately punching a hole in the wall and rushing through. 12. He saw that Zhao Hanyan wore the colors of spring on her face, her legs powerlessly curled in the corner, her eyes hazy. Thank heavens that the clothes and cap on Zhao Hanyan's whole body were still intact, an appearance of not having suffered violation. In the air, several dozen flying swords protected Zhao Hanyan. Psychic communication flying swords? No wonder. Die! Zhao Hanyan coldly shouted. The flying swords flashed by. In front of her was a fair-skinned man. The man screamed. The psychic flying swords were very powerful, immediately running holes through his body. Sensing the state of the Mainyang from before, Su Xing was already certain this man named Zhang Qing was Mainyang's star master. 13. The man escaped out the window, but he very quickly was cut down by the flying swords. He perhaps had never thought that Zhao Hanyan's flying swords would unexpectedly already be at the psychic communication realm. It was known that to be capable of refining a sword chant to the psychic communication was without exception something only a genius could achieve. Having psychic communication flying swords mean that the master was protected from harm at all times even if the master was to lose consciousness. This was the terror of psychic communication flying swords. Hanyan, are you all right? Su Xing rushed over. The 72 outer void flying immortals' swords aimed at Su Xing. Hearing a familiar voice in the haze, only then did Zhao Hanyan retract her hostility, collapsing against Su Xing's chest. Su Xing only felt that the Lingyan princess' whole body was incomparably scorching, her cheeks an amorous red, the light in her eyes full of sensual desire. Clearly, She also was affected by the 7 feelings 6 desires spice, but she was not as fortunate as Su Xing, who possessed the absolute sincerity soul technique and meditative mind lotus seed. Su Xing hastily transferred the heart clear as mirror realm to Zhao Hanyan. He was full of killing intent towards Mainyang and that man. "Dear husband." A scream came from outside the room. Su Xing looked. That Zhang Qing was obviously already at his last breath. Mainyang was currently continuously rocking him, screaming, her alluring expression already long gone. "You brought this on yourself." Su Xing wanted to use his flying swords, only to discover the flying swords inside him were incapable of moving. He did not know what thing they used to unexpectedly be able to trap a life-cast flying sword or star nest. "Today, I will dismember you two into 10,000 pieces." Mainyang hatefully glared at Su Xing. Suddenly, he saw her open her mouth. That man subconsciously also opened his mouth, and his essence qi was sucked into her mouth. Su Xing felt this was odd. All of a sudden, he sensed the world change. Mainyang's whole body underwent a transformation. Her hands became blade-like claws, and her back sprouted wings. Her gaze was fiendish, and strange markings spread across her skin. Heaven Earth Dark Yellow Skill, Yaksha Lady. Fortitude. Even though Su Xing already took extreme precaution, he completely did not expect the Mainyang with the Yaksha transformation body would have speed that reached such an unimaginable degree. This woman's movements were so beyond reason, surprisingly accelerating instantly to this degree at such a short distance was simply inconceivable. She flashed by. The room was blown to bits. Dust and ash covered the sky. Su Xing carried Zhao Hanyan and appeared at another place. It was fortunate that Su Xing's thinking had already reacted to the realm of the impossible. He instantly keenly caught onto the opponent's movements. The Yaksha lady coldly glared at Su Xing. Her figure flashed, and Su Xing also threw away the moment to defend. He had no choice. He could only give up his counterattack, lowering his head and evading by conditioned reflex. What a pity! The Yaksha lady honestly was like a monster. Even if she was only a woman, she still was a monster. The Yaksha lady was not the same as other opponents that Su Xing had encountered in the past, the attacks she used not like those of the past. Her right claw's horizontal sweep had not yet ended when her left claw already followed up. The wind pressure pelted him, its degree of power obvious. It pressured Su Xing into only being able to dodge. Whirling around, the Yaksha lady's right claw once again slashed. Such sharpie claws alternately swept, up and down, spin after spin, without any pause. The person practically spun like a pinwheel, continuously without end, pressuring Su Xing into only dodging continuously. Having battled up to now, his chances had unexpectedly completely vanished. He was even nearly unable to put up a defense, for he was completely suppressed by the opponent's terrifying attack. Su Xing's speed surprisingly was completely unable to fully unravel. He even lost the opportunities to instantly shift positions. Under such a swift and flowing assault, Su Xing finally paused for a moment, and the opponent's hand struck his stomach. An enormous power suddenly erupted. Su Xing felt a stifling feeling cram his chest, for a large piece of his flesh was abruptly ripped apart. "Die, become funerary offerings for my dear husband." The Yaksha lady raised that arm dripping with blood. Her 5 nails were like razors, glittering as she furiously yelled. Su Xing calmed the pain in his chest with great difficulty, rising. What a truly deep love. Su Xing sneered. Su Xing's left hand abruptly waved, and with a piercing shriek, an incorporeal purple mansion immortal thunder already attacked with full speed. Su Xing used speed to fight back. The Yaksha lady's figure slightly swayed, once again suddenly sticking close. She had just flashed past that menacing purple mansion immortal thunder when a slim cold light already appeared before his eyes. Just when she was about to grasp Su Xing again, suddenly, Su Xing suddenly accelerated during his attack. The two retreated and advanced, moving swift as the wind, in several breaths' time surprisingly reaching a dead end. Su Xing's fist went forth. The severe attack landed on the Yaksha lady's stomach. The woman vomited blood, her beautiful face contorting. Her body was just like a cannonball, actually flying several dozen meters away, directly slamming apart the tavern's hull. Su Xing swiftly followed, rushing out without any hesitation. When his body landed, the power of the wind his fist lifted was fierce as he ruthlessly smashed down. The Yiksha lady's black wings formed a defense. The two landed on the inn's front lawn. Before the Yiksha lady could react, Su Xing's figure attacked swift as lightning from the Yiksha lady's front. Without any pause, Su Xing's silhouette abruptly rushed towards the Yiksha lady. His clothes fluttered behind him, his speed was so fast. In an instant he was already under the woman's nose. In the swift and fluttering wind, his fist suddenly punched. A berserk clap of purple thunder resounded. Bang! The Yiksha lady's reactions were extremely quick, surprisingly blocking with her right hand, blocking Su Xing's punch and the thunder filling the sky. A cold snort of contempt. The Yiksha lady's other hand was the same, and her wings became blades that continuously swept. The attacks of her hands were like whips. Not only were they abnormally fierce, their movements were linked together without any gaps. This could be rated as perfect to the limit. Seeing that Yiksha lady's attack was so brilliant, Su Xing was in secret admiration. To have this level of combatability right now was thanks to battle doctrine and the battle discipline honed from battles with countless star generals. This star general appeared to very terrifying, completely not at a disadvantage. His hair had been blown into a mess by the intense wind. Su Xing carrying Zhao Hanyan restricted his movements. Once again he coldly yelled and unleashed a purple mansion immortal thunder. The Yiksha lady instantly completed an evasion and counterattack movement. Her body became a black shadow, dodging Su Xing's every attack, ruthlessly attacking him. Su Xing was sent flying. A dark weapon appeared in the Yiksha lady's hand. Upon seeing it, Su Xing drew in a breath. No way, it's unexpectedly her. Su Xing was very shocked, practically incapable of believing this. Mainyang's right hand gripped a black trident. That trident had an Azura demon's form, its body seemingly soaked in blood. In the faintly discernible red bloodlight, 4 stars twinkled. This was the blood sacrifice Azura trident. Not outside of expectations, she was the 103rd ranked strong star female Yiksha Sun Ernyang. 2, but this alone was not likely to make Su Xing feel flabbergasted. In actuality, in Sun Ernyang's left hand, she similarly held a star weapon. That star weapon was a barbed whip. This whip had 3 snake heads, its entire body a gloomy green color ignited with a verdant flame. It had 3 stars. Astonishingly, this was the 102nd ranked execute star gardener Zhang Qing's 3-star weapon, skin flaying torture heavenly whip. What was going on? Su Xing never thought that a star general could use another star general's star weapon. Sun Ernyang's star master was also named Zhang Qing, however, Su Xing had never believed that this skin-flaying torture heavenly whip was his. Flipping his hand, he brought out the birth treasure outline. The female Yiksha Sun Mainyang held a trident in one hand and raised a whip in the other, not giving Su Xing the chance. Even though he did not know what Sun Ernyang had put inside the wine and food, she had not only sealed the star nest, even his life-cast flying swords were also sealed. Su Xing did not have flying swords of the psychic communication realm that Zhao Hanyan had. He could only prepare to activate a magic weapon. More than 50 outer void flying immortals' swords abruptly flew out, crisscrossing as they attacked, blocking Sun Mainyang. Quickly! Zhao Hanyan's tone was like silk, feebly speaking. Su Xing hastily used the birth treasure outline, its golden light shining. Star position, strong star, 5, star name, Sun Ernyang, 6, nickname, female Yiksha, 7, true name, Sun Mainyang, 8, rank, 103rd right-hand star weapon, blood sacrifice soul-absorbing trident, 9, 4 star, left-hand star weapon, skin-flaying torture heavenly whip, 4 star, 11, star beast, Scarlet Azura Realm, 10,000 techniques 2nd stage innate skill, essence absorption, 12, 5 elements, wood yellow rank special move, spirit captivation, 13, dark rank special move. Soul Allure Current Status. No contractor can be conquered. Heaven Earth Dark Yellow Skill. Yaksha Lady. 14. Detailed Materials. Yaksha Lady can absorb all of a Star Maiden's essence chi to undergo transformation into Yaksha Lady. Martial Force Realm all-around upgraded. No contractors. Su Xing was shocked. Then the person Zhao Hanyan cut down was a Star General. Gardener Zhang Qing? Su Xing carefully looked at that man collapsed on the ground taking his dying breaths. Only then did he notice that the other party's complexion was immaculate and even somewhat effeminate. His body had many wounds cut open by flying swords. Surprisingly, she was a woman dressed as a man. Today, your flesh and blood will be remuneration for shower. 16. Mainyang was unable to restrain her anger. The two star weapons danced together, immediately beating back Xiao Hanyan's flying swords. The Ling Yen princess consciousness was basically not too clear. The 72 outer void flying immortals' swords also did not have much usefulness. The female Yaksha also did not expect to surprisingly encounter the Zhao Hanyan capable of psychic communication flying swords. Falling into a conclusion where her dear husband had been seriously injured, so as to avenge Zhang Xiao, Sun Mainyang transformed into the Azura Yaksha without hesitation and pounced. The skin-flaying torture heavenly whip drew back and struck, the snake's fangs coiling toward Su Xing. A sinister astral wind seemingly was pulled to bits and pieces by the whip and intercepted Su Xing outside his range. However, even if he could force his way through, he was not too certain. Confronting a 10,000 techniques second stage Star General, Su Xing thought to himself this sort of Star General was far from being a foe he could emerge victorious over as of now. He hastily evaded the snake whip. Mainyang's wings flapped, and the other star weapon blood sacrifice soul-absorbing trident rolled out. A bloodlight still shot towards Su Xing's stomach. Su Xing snapped his fingers. A purple mansion immortal thunder dissolved into this bloodlight, but the snake whip seized this gap and drew across Su Xing's body. An acute pain accompanied the venomous fangs that bit into his blood vessels. Fortunately, his body had a detoxification pearl that suppressed poisons. 17. Sai Xing then spat out essence blood, becoming the heaven and earth inverted boxing gloves. His palms caught the bloody trident. Dragon punch. Both fists whistled with an eerie dragon roar. Su Xing's figure was immediately pulled long and thin, seemingly transforming into a dragon. The dragon cry directly shook Mainyang's abdomen, beating back the female Yaksha. Su Xing's second fist followed directly after. His wrist suddenly stiffened, for the skin-flaying torture heavenly whip wound around Su Xing's boxing technique. Sun Mainyang oddly sneered. The whip's poison light ignited, pouncing towards Su Xing and becoming a blaze that wreaked havoc as it devoured Su Xing's star energy, burning Su Xing into a sky lantern. Dark rank technique, Sky Lantern Sacrifice. The Sun Mainyang's eyes glinted with cold light. Just at this moment, suddenly, the poisoned fire dispersed. Su Xing's body techniques suddenly mysteriously changed. His body technique abruptly accelerated, as if space had been distorted. She obviously saw that Su Xing should have been burnt to a crisp by the Sky Lantern sacrifice, but now it appeared that Su Xing had already broken free of the poison fire. Speed? Reaction? No, that already was not something reactions could do. Dark rank technique. Sun Mainyang was astonished. Immediately, she saw that the star weapons on Su Xing's fists emitted a familiar imposing air. Watch this. Sun Ernyang was unconcerned. Raising the blood sacrifice soul-absorbing trident, the blood light in front of her suddenly dispersed. Each ray of blood light was sharper than a blade. But Su Xing wandered about indeterminately in space, making Sun Mainyang completely land on nothing. Her forehead dripped with cold sweat. By the time Sun Mainyang sensed it, she was already too late. Su Xing's fists directly struck her in the abdomen, throwing down Sun Mainyang's arrogant body, her mouth hanging agape. It was the dark rank, heaven and earth inverted. Su Xing's wrist flipped, and the 1,000-year intertwined branch sword in passing stabbed at Sun Mainyang's heart. The Yaksha transformation body of the Sun Mainyang who had suffered a heavy blow was 10,000 techniques realm, after all. Her silhouette quickly disappeared into the dark night. Not good. Su Xing was too late turn around, his fists directly blocking. His gloves directly caught the female Yaksha's attack. Thereupon, several wounds deep enough to see bone appeared on his body, courting death. Sun Mainyang's trident stabbed. Damn it, too fast. Su Xing hastily evaded, nearly being stabbed through the heart, once again sensing the terror of a 10,000 techniques realm star general. This was different from previous sparring session. This was a life or death battle, completely without any leeway. Su Xing's escape technique disappeared backwards. Sun Mainyang only slightly stepped forth to pursue. In 10,000 techniques realm, escape was a completely senseless action. Not being able to use flying swords greatly restricted Su Xing's abilities. Purple Mansion Immortal Thunder continuously flew out. The purple lotus flowers were also unable to obstruct Sun Mainyang's aggression. Let this lady finally serve you. The female Yaksha suddenly pounced forth. The snake whip directly sealed Su Xing's route. Su Xing did not change expression. His two palms clapped together, and suddenly, a golden lotus blossomed in the air. Treasure kshetras and bodhi emerged in large numbers, and limitless lotus flowers blossomed layer after layer. Blinding Buddhist light shone on the entire cross island, making Sun Mainyang very uncomfortably pause for a moment. Vajra Evil Smiting Palm. Su Xing's palm was brandished, and a giant Buddhist palm mark descended. The 5 dragons colored glass lantern could comprehend Buddhism's countless secret techniques and abilities. The Vajra Evil Smiting Staff was the bounty of these past dozen days. However, the Vajra Evil Smiting Palm did not constitute a threat to Sun Mainyang as far as she was concerned. The blood-sacrifice soul-absorbing trident directly stirred the Buddhist palm to pieces. However, Su Xing only seized the opportunity to fight for a bit of time. Taking advantage of this moment, he unleashed countless Purple Mansion Immortal Thunders. A booming explosion stuck Sun Mainyang's body. Insignificant trick. Sun Mainyang sneered, rushing out of the Purple Mansion Immortal Thunder. Although she cut somewhat of a sorry figure, her imposing air did not diminish. The attack instantly arrived. Su Xing took up a defensive stance, but at nearly that split second, Sun Mainyang's silhouette already disappeared. Su Xing was slightly surprised. The female Yaksha wore a cool smile at that moment. She already stuck behind him, her 2 claws slashing. Su Xing's reactions also absolutely exceeded Sun Mainyang's imagination. In her perspective, Star Masters being closed in on by 10,000 techniques realm martial force star generals was akin to being slaughtered, let alone a merely supercluster stage Star Master, but the man in front of her possessed a sort of sense of battle against star generals that surpassed the normal. The strong star female Yaksha Sun Mainyang was too late to ponder as to what was happening. 10,000 techniques realm speed was even faster, and she instantly turned into a phantom that could not be thought over. Her figure wobbled, however, in an instant, her entire figure became indistinct, dreamlike, and illusory. Both sides barely stopped for a few seconds. Light flashed in her eyes, and instantly, that pouncing, overwhelming attack already came before Su Xing. Su Xing was exceptionally calm. He turned his hand, and taking a half-turn, he skillfully evaded Sun Mainyang's oppression. Then he seized the opportunity to turn from defender to aggressor. The divine sword in his hand carved a brilliant attack in the dark night. But his attack could only penetrate a shallow half-inch into Sun Mainyang's space, unable to move in any further. As the strong star, it was unknown the number of star masters Sun Mainyang used her frightening innate skill essence absorption on to suck away star energy from. To reach supercluster stage under a no-contract status was absolutely frightening. Powerful star energy formed a barrier that protected against Su Xing's fist's attacks, making him unable to take another half-step further. Meanwhile, Sun Mainyang's 2 star weapons crossed and revolted. Again, there were several unbearably painful wounds. This lady shall kill your woman then. Sun Mainyang was somewhat anxious in her heart when she saw she was incapable of resolving the situation. Her heaven-earth dark yellow skill already could not persist for too long. Her heart was unreconciled, and she suddenly attacked the unbearably debilitated Zhao Hanyan. Su Xing's chaotic tail escape technique protected Zhao Hanyan. The acute pain of the chaotic tail escape nearly made Su Xing lose consciousness. He forcefully endured the pain. He grabbed the 4 symbols seal and the earth book, preparing to use them. Originally, he had wanted to wait until he harvested materials to use these prehistoric spirit treasures again. Now, it seemed he already had no choice. Die! A baleful aura instantly closed down on him. At the same time, the jadeite light rays of the intertwined branch sword in Su Xing's hand magnified. Sparkling green branches and vines appeared in the air that wrapped Su Xing within. Su Xing was amazed to sense the divine sword in his hand was in resonance. Countless vines and green leaves in Su Xing's surroundings formed an endlessly multiplying defense. Sun Mainyang's attack completely was intercepted. The divine sword in his hand shuddered even more intensely. Su Xing immediately sensed Zhao Hanyan's feelings inside from this intertwined branch. His hand relaxed, and the intertwined branch flew into the air. The 2 intertwined branches formed a green bridge, continuously covering Su Xing and Zhao Hanyan, opening jadeite leaves in the black night. After all, it was the 1,000-year divine sword. Sun Mainyang instantly sensed the terrifying power seep into her limbs and bones. The female Yaksha's complexion changed. She suddenly flew backwards, taking hold of the dying gardener Zhang Shao and using all her strength to escape. "The one to die is you," a feeble voice interrupted. The 2,000-year divine swords let out a clear cry. Sun Mainyang was greatly afraid. She saw green light flash, and immediately, there was a blood-curdling scream. 2 crimson stars fell at the same time. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.